Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first ever Fireside chat here on the Rolling Nomads for our two shows, Berlin Bloodlines and Of Bane and Blood, our Werewolf the Apocalypse game, and our Vampire the Masquerade reversed. I'm the previous intern here, the Rolling Nomads, technically the operations manager, but no one's paying attention to that. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce the cast and crew, minus three of our guests who were not able to make it. So, hello, Syrinx and Josh and Zach. I hope you're having fun. So, Rachel, would you go ahead and introduce yourself and the characters you play in these shows?
Hello, everybody. I am the Azure Butterfly, or Azure for short, or simply Rachel. I am the production coordinator here on the Rolling Nomads, and you may know me as Maria Russellini in Berlin Bloodlines, and Hannah Eats the Spiral in Of Bane and Blood. That's me. You can find me on the social medias at the Azure Butterfly, and here on Twitch at the Azure Butterfly.
Perfect. And Avery.
Hello, hi everybody. It's me, Avery, at Averydaboi on all of the social media platforms. I style myself as something of an internet personality. I'm the partnerships manager right here on the Rolling Nomads. And you have definitely seen me as Sense the Sweetwater, the Gale Stalker Philodox, and Of Bane and Blood, but I think what you're all really here for, because I know you miss it so much, is I play unsere gnädiger Herr, Edgar in Berlin Bloodlines.
Indeed. Luna.
Hi, I'm Luna, or Druid by Night. You can find me at Druid by Night on all the social medias, including on Twitch. But you've probably seen me on here on the Rolling Nomads as Imogen Lamia, the best cult leader ever, and as Lorelei Savagewind, the Black Fury Theurge and pack leader.
It is true. Best pack leader, best cult leader. No notes.
No, none.
None. Ramos.
Hello, my name is Gilbert Ramos. I am found everywhere at Almost the Nomad. You might recognize me from Berlin Bloodlines as Dr. Tullio Giovanni. And you might recognize me as well from Of Bane and Blood as Elias Richter, aka Heart Eater, the Ghost Council Wormfoe, the boy, the lad.
Yep, you did it. You got it right in order and everything.
Aru.
Yes, that's the fuck. Damn it.
I'm sorry, the sarcasm, it runs deep. And last but certainly not least, the maker of the Huddyverse, Huddy herself.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Huddy or Huddy Funchland. I'm a World of Darkness community ambassador. I'm also the storyteller for Berlin Bloodlines and Of Bane and Blood and many, many other things, including, as already mentioned in the chat, Are We Dead Yet? Blood on the Grand Strand, and other things that are upcoming.
Indeed, which we will get to that later. I'm very excited to be able to talk about that finally. And as I said, I'm as I was on the social media. Don't worry about me. I play Adelaide Nagaraja, Devil's favorite daughter, and Timber shakes the trees, the red talon ragabash. Everything's fine there.
Don't listen to Az, because in my comments that Timber has a fan club, of which I have a commenter who wants to be president of such the club.
Oh man, okay, that's a choice. I don't know why she's a menace, but we'll get to that. If that
because
was a
everyone loves a
question,
ragabash.
everybody loves the ragabash. It's because they're unhinged and fun, and that's why I decided to play her.
Mhm.
So one of the things we're doing was we got questions from the community, and we will be going over those. If you have any, and you're here today and didn't get a chance to send us your questions before, go ahead and throw them in the chat. We'll keep an eye on it. But our first question of today is that our games are always very dark. And Huddy, how do you keep them from turning into grimdark?
Well, as I already admitted to the crew beforehand, I don't necessarily know what grimdark means. Rachel told me it means without hope.
Yeah.
So if that is the case, how I keep my games from going grimdark but staying dark is that in the world of darkness, everything is so very dark. So if you don't have any light or any hope, then you cannot see how dark the darkness is. So that has to be something that you consider and think about. The easiest way to do that, to keep hope within characters, is to make sure, especially using the 5th edition system, to make sure that they have touchstones or things that matter to them in order to keep that from that all-consuming depression and sadness that comes in the World of Darkness from just taking over the entire story.
Yeah, and I know one of the things you mentioned at the beginning of all our episodes as we go over our lines, fails, our consent, make sure everybody's doing good. So we just have that communication of, hey, are things getting too dark? Do we need a minute? You're very good about that. I appreciate that. I just want to bring that up.
Thank you. Oh, you're all very good about letting me go dark, because I do like to go dark, because I'm a dark person. There's a darkness in my soul that, just has to come out in my stories. But I do, one of the reasons why I run World of Darkness and why I like World of Darkness so much is because it is a dark mirror of our own world. And there's so many things to explore. And personal horror is just my favorite genre, I think.
I think that's why we're all here. Anytime you message us and like, hey, I have an idea, we're like, yeah, no, we're here.
Yes,
we're
unfortunately, every time I
ready.
message you, then I have sheets thrown at me in a matter of a couple of days. So
We literally
Waiting
feed
for
this
this moment.
addiction every time.
If I can ask though, darkness in games. Ramos, what do you think is you've been in quite a few of my games, almost all of them. What do you think is the darkest moment that has been aired?
Yes.
In the 3 games. Are We Dead Yet, Berlin Bloodlines, and of Bane and Blood?
2 moments stand out for me specifically. And this is everyone's like personal feeling of like what is the most dark is subjective. So this might not be like everyone's, but the 2 moments that stand out specifically for me are the moments in Berlin Bloodlines where we had the flashback of how Tulio and Imogen became kindred. More specifically, like Imogen's backstory and how, like, her interactions with her sister and how that came about. Because when you break it down, really, like, it was played in such a way that's like we all agreed on what it would be, but it was played in such a way that if you really think about it, it's really unfathomable to think about being put in the situation, and then like being forced, because Imogen was put in a position that like she hesitated and her sister did not. So like at that point there is a defense that has to happen, and like you make the choice to survive, and sometimes that choice is just primal, and we saw that with like how it happened, because you gave Luna a choice of like which weapon do you want to use, and it was just like brick. There was no like clean, there was nothing clean, and that's what it is. Survival was not clean. It was I'm fighting for my life. And then the second moment was the Bahari party. Not to reveal too much for like behind the scenes, but after the episode, we did like a check-in where Huddy asked us if we were good, and we were all kind of like not reeling, but like we all were like, whoa. And it was just because like it was something that was like, it was like, because we play these games and it's like, oh, the Bahari is a cult, ha 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 ha, like, and you read the name of the books, like Cults of the Blood Gods, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna play this game. You brought a cult, like like it was a realization of like, this is a cult. And it was just like, for me it was just a realization of like, this is a cult. This is dark, like, and because it was just normal. You were expected to do this thing, and like that tying into that moment with the I've forgotten her name. I'm a bad person. The
Carla.
Yeah, for being sacrificed. The because you and I had spoken about it, and like how Tulio reacted, why Tulio reacted so the way he did. he had just gotten his memories back recently, and he saw it happen again, basically where Imogen killed another sister, and like the tie-in of that, like, oh, you did this again, and this time it was willing. This time you chose this. This time you did it with people and an audience. You laid out a table for it. You prepared for this moment, and it was just like, to summarize, it's a cult. So like, it was just like a big deal. So
I want to
again,
ask. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no. I was just gonna say, again, that might not be like the darkest moments for everybody, but those are the two moments that stand out the most for me personally, because that was like a moment of like, I've never felt that emotion of like, whoa, holy shit, where like my heart like skipped a beat in a game before, until those moments where I was like, oh shit.
I want to say behind the scenes, everybody seated here, besides me, had a very visceral reaction to the Bahari party. As maybe to the least extent of everybody sitting here, but everyone had a very visceral reaction to the Bahari party, which I found really interesting. And I think in retrospect, I have avoided doing cults of any kind in Vampire the Masquerade because, surprise, I was raised in one. So I understand cults really, really well. And I knew that if I ever did one, I would do it to a degree that would be very unsettling because I just know what it is like. So I think I did not prepare everyone enough, and I also didn't temper myself enough to ease you into the cult. And that's my bad. I'm very sorry about all that because I know it
No.
affected all of you to varying degrees behind the scenes.
No, I think that, and speaking for myself personally, I don't think it was a moment of like, I don't think it was too much. I think that it lies fully in the fact that like a lack of preparation on our part. We still obviously went over lines and veils. It wasn't like nothing on our sheets or anything like that was like violated or anything like that. But you painted the scene incredibly well. You painted the emotion of it very well, and like the lead up to it was just all like, this is happening. It was just so I don't think there's anything to apologize for. It's just like, and that emotion, those feelings that we all had, I think were very raw, and like that helped lead to like the truth of the matter. You know, like in that scenario, like we don't do this, but like stepping into the shoes of the characters like completely and fully, that's a horrific event to see, you know? So it's just, I think it came out very, very fucking cool.
Yeah, I think that was maybe the best episode of the season, but that's my personal opinion. Rachel, yeah.
I would like to add, because those were also would have been the moments that I would have chose as like some of the darkest ones. The Bahari party also hit different because of the fact that it's not something we're just witnessing. Some of us took active part in that. Like there was agency within our characters and within ourselves to make part of that happen, and like that is very dark, and that is something that's just like added on to that visceral reaction, I feel.
I agree. Az, do you want to read out the chat question?
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, so oh my goodness, I am so dyslexic. Someone say the name.
Do you want me to Larry Sanju?
Larry Sanju said that there's also a dark, tragic beauty to some scenes, such as episode 1 of Are We Dead Yet? The pre-embrace tension. Also, the Bane and Blood flashback with Maggie and Sweet's first meeting and knowing she would later give in to Hirano. Yeah, gorgeous, tragic, dark, all at once. Could not agree more. Oh man, our group chat, the little pack chat during that scene, heartbreak. Just all over. Just crying emojis.
Yep. I don't want to be a person who gives myself too much credit, but I think emotional scenes I do put a lot of effort into. So I think I do them adequately for an audience. There we go.
True.
Yeah, and I think there's another kind of secret voice that you're definitely like very adept with, Huddy, and it's writing the line and feeling how much the kind of proverbial tension of the darkness is on a scene without snapping the rubber band, right? Because that is to root back around. That is the question, right? And how do you keep yourself from going over the line from dark into grimdark? And I think a lot of that is honestly just kind of this storyteller's sixth sense of being able to see how much tension you can put on this rubber band before it snaps. And you're just good at it. I don't think there's really any other way for me to say you're just very good at that particular mechanic of the story building.
Thanks. I don't know what to say when people compliment me.
Fun fact, chat: Huddy doesn't take compliments, so
No,
there's gonna be a lot of thanks.
Block. Yeah, Vin, who is also in Are We Dead Yet? The Mass Embrace. I have a Piggly Wiggly in my hometown, and I think about it every time, which makes WoD urban fantasy so harrowing because of how closely it can touch our regular lives. That is so very well said, Vin. Yep. I don't, in full honesty and transparency, World of Darkness are the only games that I run. I don't have any other experience with other TTRPGs. I don't have experience running TTRPGs. I didn't start doing it until 4 years ago. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. It just speaks to a part of my soul that I like, that I like digging around in. So I don't know how to cultivate such a thing of keeping a rubber band from snapping, unfortunately.
You do it. You do it very well. But with what Vin said about the Piggly Wiggly, that actually leads into our next question,
Oh no.
which is about Berghain. So the question is, Berghain seems to be one of the only real places you mentioned in Berlin Bloodlines. Why don't you use more IRL locations?
Well, I am not from Berlin. I'm not from Germany at all. I do live here in Germany. I've lived here in Germany since 2013. That's why I can speak German in the game. I have never been to Berlin. And Berghain is just the least common denominator of it is very likely that people have at the very least heard of Berghain. So they very least know what it is. And I seem to have centered everything around that for a simple purpose, is that it's sort of my focal point of my own storytelling. Don't ever take my advice or listen to me when it comes to like building your own city, because I am very fast and loose with the rules. Don't ask me how many kindred should be in your domain per capita of people, because I will say the amount of people who should be in your domain is the amount of characters that you need to tell the best story, the most efficient story, the story that your players want to play. I will never get wrapped up in real life locations, real life things. I'll make it up on the fly, or I'll change things that I need to change or want to change. And Berghain is just a place that I feel like speaks to what Berlin is. That's why it's my focal place. Berghain was at one time a place that was owned by East Berlin, so owned by the Soviet Union at the time. It was, one of the many sort of concrete block buildings that everyone lived in, communistic sort of, Eastern Bloc thing. And it was purchased and changed into a place of free expression and, dancing and being alive and all those things that a lot of the people of East Berlin felt like they missed out on all the years of occupation. Especially the young people, right? So that's sort of what I feel like speaks to what Berlin is. Why I don't use more real, and that's the best thing I can give you. Why I don't use more occasions. They're just not necessary to the story that I'm telling right now. I'm so sorry.
Which makes a lot of sense, and we do make up a lot of locations. I mean, we made up the whole chain of thrift shops, Threadbare.
We did.
Yeah,
we did.
And then there's the alley outside Berghain, which is now famous. That we should, once again, this is my petition that we just have to destroy it, guys.
For anyone wondering, it's in real life. That tunnel is in a place called Warschauer Straße. It is called the Graffiti Tunnel. And yes, they call it that in German. They use the English word. They say Graffiti Tunnel. That is what they call it because speaking English is cool. But if you want to know the real location of that tunnel, it's called Warschauer Straße. Okay, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go there, take your cosplay photos.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a tunnel full of graffiti, just full of it.
Yeah, we'll get an Instapot. It'll be great. We'll take
Yeah.
some photos. Perfect.
before we move on though, I did want to ask everyone else, Luna, your what you feel like in the 2 games darkest scene that you were in, or Are We Dead Yet as well, because you were also in that.
Honestly, thinking about it, when you asked Gilbert, I was kind of thinking about it, and I came to the conclusion that I agree with those 2 scenes, especially playing in them. I have a clip reel on my Twitch channel where there have highlights of like my character's moments, and one of them includes the brick scene. And
Yes.
every time I sit down and watch it, it feels like I'm watching someone else, because I never thought I would find myself in such a situation in a story where I'd have to make a decision like that, and I love it. How you were saying it speaks to something in you to explore these dark themes, and I'm the same way. That said, the Bahari party, I had told you that I was, when you said we all had different reactions, I was feeling a lot after that session.
Yes.
And I think I tried to do the most productive thing with those feelings and put it back into Imogen going forward. So I took that darkness and that anxiety and that sadness, and I put it into a crisis of faith so that she could have a big character growth moment, and kind of rely on those memories to fuel her decisions going forward.
Yes, and we also, again, behind the scenes, after that episode, I felt it incumbent upon me to open up PvP for the players to explore feelings. The intention was to explore feelings after the Bahari party. It continued onward, though.
Yeah.
So, which is fine. I'm fine. I read everybody's stuff, and I'm just sitting there going, like, I can use that later. So that's fine. Luna, it's something I'm going to get real with you real quick. So let's get real. Let's be real.
Right. Okay, everybody hunker down.
So the very first time that you were in a game with me was Are We Dead Yet, right? And you played Theo, the Tremere Light, right? Fat-free Tremere, right?
Yes.
Who became a full fat Tremere, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
And you were, as a person and as a player, you were very shy and very reserved. Right. So when I came to you, and even when we played in the Transylvania Beckons game, Rosalind is a very reserved, quiet, studious character, right? So when I came to you with Berlin Bloodlines, I wanted you to, and I didn't have to ask you for that one. I wanted you to play someone different, right? I wanted you to play someone strong and resilient. And when you came to me and said, like, I want to kill my own sister, I was like, this is it. You are so incredibly talented. You are so versatile if you allow yourself to be. And I think Imogen might be your, there's a word that I don't know because I'm not smart. It's like an academic term, magnum opus. Is that it? There we go.
I was just thinking that one.
No, she is, because she is different from the other characters that you have played. And there are scenes that I can remember vividly of, did I do good? Did I do well? Asking that to Josh, who plays your sire, was such a beautiful moment. It's a moment that I put into the trailer. It was so good. So I just want to heap a lot of praise on you for going outside of your comfort zone and for putting all that effort into Imogen, because it really does pay off.
Damn. I appreciate that, because Imogen is my favorite character. I think I've said that on when we wrapped up the first season. I said that she's my favorite because I put a lot of myself into her. I put a lot into Imogen. And I'm glad that it shows, because I'm my worst critic when it comes to that sort of thing.
Again, I don't like to compliment myself, but I have noticed, for whatever reason, there's things that happen when I storytell where then players come to me later and say, like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Or like, I didn't know I could feel that. And I don't have any advice. I feel so bad when people ask me for storyteller advice because I don't have any to give. But I think something about the way that my very neurodivergent and broken brain works maybe makes stuff come out of people that they don't expect. Maybe, but because it definitely happened with you, at the very least.
Yeah, no, I'd venture to say that's the case.
Okay. Yes, and when Imogen became the leader of the Bahari, I was very excited. It was something I was planning for in the future. I didn't expect to fast track it, but things happened and it was fast tracked, and I'm very looking forward to any conflicts that might arise with that because the cult leader is still alive. But whatever.
Yeah, I think about that sometimes. I'm like, I wonder how I'm gonna go about that.
We'll see. As your darkest you have been in every game I've ever run. You were in Blood on
Yeah.
the Grand Strand as well. The only one
Yeah.
here who is in all the games I've ever run. So would you like to talk to me your favorite darkest moments?
Darkest moments? Okay, so we were like the first game we played together, Are We Dead Yet? The dark
Mhm.
moment was when Sawyer learned everything his would have been sire did.
Mhm.
Like, that was heartbreaking.
Mhm.
That was a lot. My poor boy.
Caitlin Longhorn.
Caitlin fucking Longhorn.
Mhm.
Ugh. Anyway, yeah, no. And then, like, I love how you weave stories together like that, where it's like, here's this thing that was terrible, but this is actually what was going on. Like, there's always a reason behind the characters' motivations. But yeah, watching my boy, because that's one of the things that's like, I step into my character. Okay, people ask me about that. I don't know. You just.
Yeah, I would love some pointers about it because
Maybe
I'm
it's
awful
the
at it.
autism.
Well, I
but
got
yeah,
that, but it's not working for me.
you put on the shoes. You put on. I don't know. I'll put on my little silly cosplay,
As
and
is a
then
masking master, is what it is.
there it is. Yeah. And then for the like you were saying with the party scene, what happened with the cult didn't affect me so much. It was being at Adelaide made me uncomfortable. Like when she was holding on to Tulio's arm and squeezing, she wasn't upset what was going on. Screaming annoys her.
Yeah.
She doesn't like the noise. It's too loud. It's too noticeable. She felt nothing.
Yeah, Adelaide is very much what's interesting. Sorry for me to just gush about all your characters all of a sudden. What's interesting to me about Adelaide and why I was so glad that you decided to play a Nagaraja is Adelaide is very much the outsider. Had we had not even a Samdi, no, really, there's just the Nagaraja. Had we not had a Nagaraja, it would have been a little different, but Nagaraja are very much the outsiders of the Hekata. They are the only bloodline that doesn't descend from some offshoot of the Cappadocians Giovanni. They are the snake people.
Mhm.
Right.
Fake snake.
Fake snake. And so Adelaide is a very interesting perspective to everything because she's very much outside of the family. Like, even though she's part of it on paper, not really. Still, there's very much, they even look at the Nagaraja with suspicion. They're like, they're cannibals. They eat people, and like as if that's one step too far for the Hekata.
Yeah, that's it. That's the
line.
That's the line.
There's the line.
But I do love Adelaide. Avery, you have been in not all of my games. You haven't been in Are We Dead yet, and you weren't in Blood on the Grand Strand. You've just been introduced into the Huddyverse with Berlin Bloodlines, just like Rachel.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and it's so funny because I've been a very long time watcher of the Huddyverse content.
I'm never
And
gonna forgive my friend Olaf for coming up with that, by the way.
I have to say, honestly, the first of the two darkest moments that I can think of in the Huddyverse, the first of them I wasn't even a part of. It was years before Huddy and I would ever come to know each other. Shout out to Joe Nola Fanger for this one. Joe's scene with Chris in Blood on the Grand Strand.
Mm-hmm.
seeing this doomed romance, like, no, he wouldn't have given up. Where is he? Show me where he is. And just the amount of raw emotion and purely fatally hopeful energy between the two of them was just, oh my god. It's so funny. I have problems remembering like a lot of things, but I could tell you exactly where I was when I saw that scene. I could tell you exactly who I was with. I could tell you what time of day it was, because that scene had that much of a like profound impact on me as a person.
Yes, and I've told you this before. When I came to Chris had come to me in the beginning of Blood on the Grand Strand, which of course, is not something that we necessarily should be talking about, but why not? And Chris said that, gave me the backstory. Marcus became a Second Inquisition agent, but they were in love. Sabat embraced, blah, 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 all these things. He came to me with those things, and I said, oh, great. I'm going to get Joe to do this. Because I'm going to bring him in somehow. And so I told Joe that, and Joe said, hang on, let me just watch the whole season. So Joe did watch the whole season and came back. He's like, I know exactly who Marcus is. Put me in, coach. Can I wear my beret? And then it was just magic after that.
Perfect. Honestly, they call it movie magic for a reason. That's all I got to say about that. But for a moment that I was actually in play, and again, it's so funny because like Huddy and I had this understanding going into playing Edgar. That was, we really want to keep this like twisted like ball of knots kind of smoke screen of deception and pain and with Aelin being the way out. But the first scene that we did after Edgar got off of the plane when he got kidnapped by Osric again. And it was just Edgar and Olivia in the car together. That was a very like sobering, very like real level of dark, because I could feel like it felt like you could feel Olivia trying to reassert control by initiating a power dynamic, by initiating her toxic intimacy. And
that is exactly what I was doing, yes.
And then Edgar rebounding with, no, I would rather die in a ball of fire than let you get in my head again. And I want to be very clear to the chat. I did not anticipate Edgar surviving that. I didn't. But the dice tell stories, and we let them.
I was, of all the scenarios I imagined, when I knew if you brought up Aelin in that scene that Olivia would hit you, would slap you. I knew she'd do it, and I knew you'd bring Aelin up. I don't know why I knew that, but I knew you would. However, I did not know that you were gonna try and blow yourself up and her up too. That I didn't anticipate that happening.
Avery and his penchant for trying to get his characters built?
Well, I know now.
Okay,
first
listen. I
interaction.
understand that it happened twice, but this is not a thing I usually do.
One more time and it's a pattern, Avery.
Twice is a coincidence, and until you get me a third time, you can't say shit. Buddies.
All right, what is the next question? Us, please. Dear God.
All right. Okay. Are we derailing the anyway? So with
Avery
that,
desperately trying to get himself out of something. Yeah.
It's true. It's okay. I love you anyway. Notice there's a lot of homebrew.
Oh, God.
Yep. Couldn't help but notice.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
how closely do you align that with like canon lore? And do you take liberties, Huddy? Do you take them?
I take a lot of liberties, because here's how it works in my brain, and I can say this on an official capacity as a World of Darkness community ambassador. Use the lore that you like and discard the rest. The lore is there to help you tell the story that you want to tell. It's there to help help enable your table to tell the stories that are the stories that you want to tell. If they do not suit and fit your table and your stories, please discard them. It is not necessary to cling to them as gospel. I could say that as official capacity and for myself. I do a lot with canon lore. I do. But what I don't like, for example, and I'm not going to go into the details of why, Google is free. You can look it up yourself. Berlin by Night is one of the most atrocious World of Darkness books that exists. I included nothing from Berlin by Night, including not even Waldburg, the former prince, who does still exist in 5th edition. I didn't include him at all. I included a child of his just to have that connection to who used to be in charge of Berlin back when because when that book was written, the wall was still up. They still called it East and West Berlin in that book. So I included nothing. I did what I wanted, and I will always do what I wanted. Homebrew, I use homebrew when I feel like when I say I want to do something, but it's not rules as written, so I'm going to make my own rule. I don't recommend everyone do that because it can get a little messy. It can get hard to keep track of everything, and then sometimes you think stuff is written, rules is written when it's just in your brain. The end.
I remember we
Heavy
talked
neck
about-
beard breathing. Thank you, Vin.
Beautiful. We're done here. No one's gonna go over that comment. But no, I remember because of the stuff Adelaide is now into because of spoilers. If you haven't finished this first season, you should. It's really good.
If you're here, you should have watched everything
If you're
by
here,
now.
you should have watched everything by now. If you haven't, you can come back to this later. We're gonna get it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
But with what Ibrahim did and is doing, and now that Adelaide has consumed him and has all this fun, what is Bali stuff? I was like, this is neat and something she'd be into. I don't want to get into the gross parts of it. Please.
Yeah. And I don't either, to be
Yeah.
perfectly honest.
It's one of the reasons we don't talk about what Adelaide does in her spare time, because it's gross.
As gross as I'll get, really, in terms of vampire stuff, is leaning into. I mean, I am more squeamish about Tremere flesh crafting than I am about Hikata incest. I don't know what that says about me. You can infer from my statement what that says about me, but that's all I'll say.
Yeah,
Sorry about it.
Yeah, just
Hikata incest. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I wouldn't know anything about that.
get yourself
never.
Bon
Never.
Hakim boyfriend.
Yeah.
And
We're
Or-
going to talk about romances. I know there's somewhere on the dock of
They
all the
are.
questions.
They
But
are.
by the way, because we didn't mention, these questions came from the YouTube comments, from socials, from DMs I've received that I just
Mhm.
never responded to because I'm bad at everything.
We're answering them now, though. It just takes some time. You gotta percolate. Yeah, let's go with that. Anyway, speaking of percolation, Hunter, Second Inquisition. We had that as the reason we got put on
It's my
lockdown.
favorite DM I never responded to. Now that you mention it, that's my favorite one.
I know. So, what happened with that Second Inquisition plot?
What?
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum. What happened with the Second Inquisition plot? Well, what happened with the Second Inquisition plot is halfway through, I think, prologue 4, I decided that I didn't want to add Second Inquisition into the Hikata game. I decided I had enough going on that it just wasn't important, and that should I run a Camarilla or Anarch game that takes place in Berlin, that I can explore it then. That is the long and the short of it. A lot of storytelling, I find, is throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. And if your players don't engage in certain things, just move on. Don't force it. Just move on.
I want to point out the silence after you said, if I ever run a Camarilla game, that was all 5 of us creating characters in our heads immediately.
100%.
Just character brainstorming right off
Well,
the rip.
see, here's the thing. There's only one person I've talked about a Camarilla game in Berlin with, and they're in the chat right now. Because he had a very interesting character in a one-shot that we did here on this channel. that I would love to bring back as not a ghoul.
Let me see you.
Interesting. Fascinating.
Yeah, well, I can't wait for the HDR Berlin game. Yes, Vin, there will be one. I talked to Vin about everything, so like, don't mind that.
As you should. No, that was a wild ride.
Sorry about it. I just
you
don't think the Hecata could handle also the Second Inquisition. I think they have
No.
enough going on.
No, I believe we would just let the city burn at that point. Just like,
Yeah.
guys, it's over. I hate all the family, but you guys, we're gonna get on Edgar's
We're gonna
plane.
leave
He doesn't
now.
know. It's
Because
fine.
they-
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get the heck out of Berlin at this point.
We're too busy kissing our close relatives to deal with the Second Inquisition, okay?
Speak for actually.
Shadow Bane, what?
We would just have to stake Edgar and be like, "You're coming with us, stupid. Let's go."
Yeah. Essentially.
I feel like we've come close to that at a couple points.
Yeah, a little bit.
Correct. There's a plan in place, guys. Come on.
The next question, please.
Next question. Okay.
Fucking Second Inquisition. So those are things where you don't have to worry about that in a home game. You don't have to go some person who's been watching you go like, hey, what happened with that plot point? And I go, God damn it.
Yeah, no, it's
Like,
not
you
like
know
your
this.
neighbors listening on the wall, like, all right, I'm gonna need to know what you're doing with this.
Yeah.
That was the I was so embarrassed by that DM I never answered it. So I thought I'd answer it here.
So thank you for whoever said that. There's your answer.
Absolutely.
We have too much going on because we're a disaster.
We're going through it. Leave us alone.
Yeah, speaking of our disasters, how much backstory do you like each of us to bring to the character?
I
That's
don't
our next
actually have
question.
that's a great question. I don't actually have a preference on that. I am fine whether you want to bring a lot of backstory, looking at Avery, or I'm
20
fine
pages.
I'm fine if you just come up with a few adjectives to describe your character and let me fill in the blanks. I can work with both. For examples of that, Az came in with a very detailed backstory of Sawyer for Are We Dead Yet? And I took that backstory and ruined his life
Yes.
in wonderful ways that I would love to do again. I did the same thing to Edgar. Avery gave me a very detailed backstory, and I took it, I deconstructed it and said, okay, well, what was really going on here? Let me just fill in these blanks that, make it up on my own, that Avery would have no way of knowing because there's no way the character would know. However, sort of less detailed backstories. All of you gave me pretty detailed, but I think Ramos gave me the least detailed backstory. And so with that, it's easier to then make stuff up or have Ramos be a character that I can sort of quote unquote do a lot with, that doesn't involve me having to consider their background. Does that make sense?
That's actually so helpful to hear because, like, I always feel bad because I have very difficult time writing backstories. So, like, for Ramon in Are We Dead Yet? I don't think I gave you a single fucking thing aside from, like,
No.
this is, like, his family is here and, like, he's Hispanic. That's him.
Yeah.
And then with Tulio, I think we, like, talked a couple fine points, and then we discussed, like, Lucius and everybody. I think actually Elias might be the one that I gave you the most backstory for, and even that was like late after like the prologues were close to being done.
And then and then I was like you gave me good stuff for Elias, and I was like, but what if you were married to April, and what if you came from Sept to the Bloodfist in the Schwarzwald?
Yeah,
like what if of those things?
Yeah, so I always feel bad about like because again I have trouble writing backstory, so I'm very pleased that it's like it helps me be moldable at the very least.
Yeah, and I here's the thing is I appreciate that. I think if I had to have a preference to it, I would prefer you come with less background than more. Because with less background, I can then incorporate you easier into my world. I'm not saying a lot of background makes it means I can incorporate each of the role because I'm going to do it anyway. It's just a little bit more work on my end, and I already got a lot of work on my plate. If you've played in my games or watched my games, they're not very simple. That's my fault. I don't know how to kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
I'll give you 5 words for my next character then.
Well, in a game we're going to talk about at the end of this, everyone saw my character.
Yeah.
And she has no
Beautiful
background that I'm aware of.
I loved it. Yeah, no, that was one of the things. Is like for Timber, for example, I was like, I'm playing a Lupusborn, I'm playing a fucking Ragabash honey. Can I do these things? Also, like, here's an idea for how all this occurred.
Yes.
I also feel
Here's
like
the vibe. Let's go from there.
I also feel like for Maria, it's like, because this was my first like big game with you, Huddy. I
Mhm.
was just like, here's some ideas I had. Let's go back and forth and see what we can come up with.
Yeah, I think yours was a little bit more negotiated, which I also would prefer. I'd prefer if you have ideas that we negotiate it.
Yeah.
The problem is Avery, who's not here right now, so I can say whatever I want. I would say it anyway. Is that Avery with very detailed backstory, like a very clear idea of who the character is, and then I have to do extra work to work myself around the character to incorporate them.
Okay, as someone who, that's my spouse, it's fine. So, every game, you got a 15-page backstory and a quarter of the sheet missing. I love them dearly. 20-page backstory, incomplete character sheet.
I love writing. I can never bring myself to write more than like a paragraph or 2 of a backstory.
It's hard for me. It's hard for me to rag on them too much, especially now that they're back, because they
I'll do
do
it.
bring they do bring in every character that I've seen of them play for my games. They do bring a very unique and a very often loved character in the comments. So I really can't rag on them too much. Just a little, just enough to make it fun for me. Luna, I saw you raise your hand.
Oh yeah. I just know, like, for myself, I've like made concepts for characters over the years that I've just never gotten to play up until recently. Like Imogen was a concept I came up with years and years ago, and then Huddy helped me refine her into what she is now, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Lorelai, I had no idea. I was like, I'm just gonna play this cute little Wiccan who's just happy all the time, and here we are.
I did have the pack leader thing. That wasn't, I didn't plan that. That was Avery sort of put that forward in the game. But with Lorelai playing a Black Fury, I definitely needed something, so I said, like, well, what's the thing? You're young. What's the thing? Campus protests, right? I needed something in the background there to bring Lorelai into fruition. And now she's a pack leader. So.
And now that's how that happened. Yeah, that was it's because it was werewolf, my first werewolf game, and I had no idea what to expect. So I was just like, I'm just gonna
also mine.
Same.
Hell yeah. So I was like, I'm just gonna improv the shit out of everything and hope for the best.
Yeah, worked out great. Next.
Okay.
You can tell how much I love answering questions.
All right. Well, next, now that everyone is back, and we talked about Avery's 20-page backstory and incomplete character sheet.
Yep.
I love you.
Oh my god, you're making fun of me.
The amount that Avery gets bullied behind the scenes, guys, is
between me and Az, it's awful.
I feel like I at least give as good as I get, though.
Without a doubt.
It's one of the friendship tenets.
Sorry, next question.
Next question. So, speaking of character creation, are there any relationships that are planned, like pre-planned, talked about, such as Edgar and Aelin, Imogen, Tulio?
Okay. Well, let's start with since Avery's at the top left for me, let's start with Edgar and Aelin. Avery, how much of Edgar and Aelin was planned?
So basically what we went into was I knew that I wanted to explore a romance with Edgar outside of the family. and I had this
Naughty.
idea. Yeah, right. That was
dare.
the real tradition breaker for Edgar. And I had known that I wanted him to have a ghoul that he worked very close with. And then Huddy and I had kind of expounded on that and kind of were building up this ghoul. And then I distinctly remember this was about 5 weeks before the first episode, where Huddy had asked me for a physical description of this ghoul. And I was kind of going into it and I was kind of building it up, and I was like, I very much kind of like my beautiful, wonderful partner up there, as I kind of let my characters inhabit me as we play. I cease to kind of exist as my characters come to fruition on the screen. And so I was beginning to, delve into that process, even just talking about Edgar. And it was kind of this eureka moment where I was like, oh no, he's in love with her. That's it. Like, I found myself in the way that I was describing her out of character, feeling the kind of impetus of Edgar upon me. I was like, oh God, this is it. This is the person that he's in love with. And so then Huddy and I just kind of expounded on it from there. And I will never live down that I said, let's slow burn it. And then
I was gonna bring that up.
immediately in the first episode, it's the way Huddy described Aelin looking up at Edgar and having very much already a very concrete sense of who I wanted Edgar to be. It just clicked in that moment and he's hooked, because that's the thing with Edgar at the end of the day. And how I feel with most vampires is you're playing characters that have extremely addictive personalities, right? That lend themselves to excess in feeding whatever gives you the feeling, right? And as soon as Aelin looked up at Edgar and was very, very demure, very mindful,
Back before that meme existed, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Edgar was hooked, and that was it. And from there, I have to both pat myself on the back and pat Huddy on the back a little bit. We were doing a ton of check-ins and bouncing ideas off of each other with the relationship between Edgar and Aelin. There was a lot of talk about, well, what do you feel like maybe a reaction to something along the lines of this would be? And it was a lot of very and I perish to use the word intimate, but it was a very intimate experience kind of behind the scenes and in the writing of it, because we wanted to do something that was real and honorable and visceral, and we really wanted to make this something memorable, and in my opinion we've certainly done that and are continuing to do so.
Yes. So in full transparency, the majority, I'd say half the comments that I've received in the entirety of Berlin Bloodlines have been about Edgar and Aelin. People DMing me about it and all sorts of other things. And yes, I wasn't planning. Aelin was a character that didn't have a name that already existed in my game before any of you joined. It was a character that I needed to exist because, and for reasons that we all understand now that we've gone through the first season of Bloodlines, is that she is very much a key essential character to the future of Berlin, maybe, possibly, right? So when Avery was talking to me way back in the day about, like, I really want to experience, Edgar would really be in love with someone outside the family and his ghoul and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, this is the perfect opportunity for me to put her somewhere, because I need to put her somewhere eventually where someone in the coterie will care about her in some fashion, right? So I'm like, well, here's the perfect opportunity. So I did that. And I don't know if Avery will ever forgive me for that, because to be perfectly clear, I never said to Avery, oh, and hey, she is an unawakened celestial chorus mage who is also, has all this other stuff going on where she's not really a mage and she's connected to this whole long generational trauma thing. I never ever said that to Avery, to be perfectly clear.
Consider it revenge for the 15-page backstory.
But in terms of intimacy, playing Aelin has been and in full transparency, difficult for me because romance scenes are not where I excel. So I have to give it up to Avery. I think if it wasn't for Avery, really pushing those scenes forward and coming up with a lot of ideas for those scenes and things of that nature, that I don't think it would have come out or has and continues to come out as good as it does, because I struggle through every Aelin scene. I struggle playing her, being sweet, being nice. I struggle through all of those things the entire time she's on screen. And everyone at the table knows this because I complain about it all the time.
As we said, we'll let her become a god. It's fine.
Well, yeah, let's just let her become a god. Sure. All right. So the next one. Okay, so let's move to Az then. And
Oh god.
Az and Kasim. Az, take it away.
Yeah. So yeah, Huddy and I had talked about it, about Adelaide's backstory. Like you had said, she was very much an outsider. Like she, and I know one of our fans commented, like, yeah, she started this whole thing with Alexander 7 years embraced. She was 7, full stop, when she was sold to Alexander. Once again, spoilers, to be a replacement. He was gonna steal her body.
Yes.
So that's another dark one for me. That revelation was, ugh, which we kind of talked about it. That way I was a little bit more prepared.
I did spring. Okay.
Yeah.
Az didn't know that. Again, I do that thing where I don't tell you guys everything. I did spring that on Az. Az knew about it before the session, but I did spring it on them.
Yes.
Because I like to do that.
Yes, I was very excited. I mean, we've known each other for, oh god, honey, it's been a long time. We're good.
we've known each other, for what, 4 years now? Yeah, that's a long time.
It's a long time. Yeah. So when I was building Adelaide, I was like, she wants out of the family. She hates the family. She wasn't supposed to be here in the first place. And you were like, all right, here's some options. I was like, I want to fuck the prince.
Yep. Yeah. So Az came to me and said, Adelaide wants out of the family, doesn't want anything to do with it. I'm like, great. Best way to do that is to get power where you are, so that the family can't touch you, or that you're above them or away from them or whatever. So the best way to do that is to get together with someone in the Camarilla who can protect you. Best person to get together with. I said, or I also, if you remember, I offered you Sahira.
You did. Yep.
I offered you someone of power. Could you imagine if Adelaide got together with Sahira? Oh my god, what an amazing!
She would have been more Hakata that way.
What a missed opportunity. I offered you the 2 most powerful, politically powerful kindred of the city, and you picked Kasim.
Yes, the all-powerful warrior.
The himbo.
I didn't say. Look, I said he was politically powerful. I didn't say anything else.
Yeah, and Adelaide's pulling that string, and
Avery wants to interject. Go ahead.
I gotta spew about Kasim here a little bit. I love this man. Listen, when it comes to characters that I as Edgar don't get to interact with as much as I would like, as far as NPCs are concerned, it's Katrin and Kasim. They're right in the same vein for me, right? Because Katrin is so challenging to Edgar and pushes him at every move. But Kasim loves Adelaide so much. You cannot pay me enough to not think that this man kicks his feet and twirls his hair around his finger, watching her do.
Kasim, he does.
Yeah.
Watching Adelaide do the most horrendous, vile, villainous shit, and he's just kicking his feet and twirling his hair around his finger.
Yes, his very long hair.
His very long hair. It's beautiful.
It's honestly immaculate vibes. Immaculate vibes.
He's also a mass murderer.
Hot.
Hot.
That's so fine.
Yeah. So Kasim and I think Kasim and Adelaide were very much planned. Their relationship was very much planned. Now things have happened that the audience hasn't seen yet, but they will. They will see them soon. Luna and Ramos could talk about their romance because I had nothing to do with it. I didn't know about it until it was happening.
Oh, whoops.
No one told me.
Oh man, where do you go?
Oh, well, so Luna and I discussed it. We are we're partners in real life. We live together. Rachel's also with us as a roommate. And before all that, we discussed like having a romance between our two characters. And after we got like some backstory stuff with Lucius and everything figured out, we discussed kind of I think we initially intended it to be a slow burn.
Yeah. Well, we discussed enemies to lovers, slow burn was our exact words.
Yeah, we so we were going to just slow burn enemies to lovers, and with how things played out, I personally wanted Tulio to come off as creepy and gross. And there are a few standout moments that, like, I think really fucking portray that. Immediately after lockdown, being outside of her house, watching, like a fucking... Let me make this very clear. That's not okay. That's gross.
Makes me laugh.
And then the moment of... I remember Huddy's, like, very physical, like, cringe the moment Tulio reached across and buckled Imogen into the car.
That was so funny.
And I watched everyone just like shrink in like fucking disgust, and I'm like, that's the vibe, guys. He's not okay. He's not good. But I also want to make clear, I don't think that the relationship is built on good stuff. They are kind of built on shared trauma and like proximity and everything that they've been through together. It has the potential, I think, to be good, but it does not have the best like bedrock. So the romance was discussed, and then we played it out, and it became very quick. I think it wasn't slow burn, but I think it's very natural of like how like the shared trauma and the proximity, and as gross as it is, the familial bond, and like the childhood that they shared together is just very like they clung to one another, and it's going somewhere.
It's going is what it is.
Yeah,
I'm gonna interject with a storyteller grumble real quick. I wasn't aware of the relationship. Oh boy, let me backtrack. I wasn't aware that these two were in a relationship to begin with, like in real life. Because here's the problem with me. Unless you come to me and say, honey, can I talk to you about something? Honey is not going to be the person who's going to go like, hey, I want to talk.
So funny. Again, another peek behind the curtain. Huddy edited the episodes. Huddy edits the episodes for all the Huddyverse. And so like when we take breaks, we usually just keep the cameras rolling. We just step away from computers or whatever. Luna and I at one point were like flirting, being like, hi baby, we miss you, like all this stuff, right? And we're like, surely Huddy has seen that and like has known that at this point. Nope, just like saw like a moment.
I'm like, okay, the break starts. Cut. When I start talking again, break's over. Cut. Delete.
Yeah. so
Every
we were
time.
just
I still do it.
There's a moment like where like before a game that's obviously not like in an episode or anything like that, where Huddy's like, are you guys together? We're like, yeah.
Yes, that was yes. Okay, here's how. I'm not gonna say where it is, but we were doing a very special Berlin Bloodlines episode where everyone had their own little thing going on. It was a romance-centric episode, and we're sitting there, and Ramos lives in a state in the United States, and Luna goes, "I'm moving to state," and I go, "Oh, that's weird. That's where Ramos lives. And Ramos is sitting right there. And she's like, yeah, I know. We're moving in together. And I'm like, oh, are you together?
That's so sudden, I think is what you said.
Yeah.
To be fair,
Um,
I'm right with you on that, Huddy, where it's just like one of those things like you got to come to me about stuff like that. I'm not gonna notice.
It was so fun.
We just
But-
talked about this. We've known each other for 4 years. You just met Avery, even though I talked about them all the time.
Yeah, see, here's this. Okay, you want some real deep lore? Back when I was getting a crew together for Are We Dead Yet? Sort of going out on my own, and I'm like, I want people I've never played with before. I played with my friends for a couple of seasons. I want new people, and I'm really into TikTok right now because we're in lockdown. And these people are doing cool stuff over on TikTok, vampire stuff. I'm gonna reach out to them. The very first person who came across my For You page was someone named Golden Gwydion. And that's Avery. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to reach out to Avery. But I had noticed they hadn't posted anything in like 8 months. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to bother them. They're probably not making content right now. Something might have happened and I don't want to bother them. So I went to the next person because I saved some videos. And the next person was Az. I reached out to Az first, was the first person I reached out to. And little did I know that Avery was right there the whole time. Fast forward almost 3 years later, I get a message from Avery. He's like, hi, I'm Az's partner. Would you like to be in a Dark Ages vampire game? And I'm like, who are you? And he's like, yeah.
Az, who is this?
And then Avery's like, yeah, this is my TikTok. And I see the TikTok and I'm like, you son of a bitch. Both of you.
Hey, fate comes
And-
full circle sometimes.
And Az goes, yeah, the whole time we were filming Are We Dead Yet? Avery was like on the other side of the door.
I love that.
And I'm like, okay.
That's always
Okay.
such a fun story.
I don't ask. I don't ask because I don't like talking about my own personal life, right? So I'm not gonna run up to you and be like, oh my God, spill all your secrets to me. That's not my personality. I won't do that. If you want to talk to me, that's fine, but I'm not gonna ask. That makes me a bad
Valid.
person. That makes me a bad person.
Nah, valid.
What was your take on the romance though, Bippy?
Oh gosh. I honestly, again, going back to liking those darker themes in fiction and fantasy and whatnot, I enjoy it. I enjoyed how it played out. I really enjoyed the initial conversation after Tulio got his memories back in the car. I thought that was a really strong roleplay moment. And then, of course, the moment after the Bahari party was another one that was, I mean, I am post about Months of Darkness, so that was my most emotional scene that I had roleplayed that I could think of. So I've been really enjoying it. The one thing that I was behind the scenes really worried about, I thought people were going to be like, oh no, it's incest, it's problematic. I can't watch this. I was so worried about that.
The amount of times
If anything, the comments have been, where's the incest?
yeah, and
I was gonna say.
to peel back the curtain a little bit, a little more. I guess that's what we're kind of doing. We're just kind of like yeeting the curtain. There was because we discussed, Huddy and I discussed like the familial ties and like the incest and everything of the Hekata, because that's kind of like the big thing, a major part of their lore, and one of like there's, like I said, this goes back to Lines and Veils and stuff. Huddy checked in to see like, hey, are you cool with like Josh has posed the idea that like maybe like there's like some sort of like a sexual or like a romantic involvement with Tulio and Imogen. Are you cool with that? And
Whoa, I need to correct that.
Mhm.
Josh said, "Is it okay if there is a romantic emotional attachment to you?"
gotcha.
I said, "Would it?" And Josh wanted to be sexual with you, Ramos.
Honestly, damn, like Stop
I rejected that idea not because I had any issue with it, but because I'm selfish, and I said I wanted to explore the relationship that Tullio might have had with his sister, again being Giovanni.
Mhm.
But that was a line that you didn't want to cross.
Yeah, and to be clear, we discussed Hadi and I discussed that point with Tullio's relationship with Irma, and fun fact, I named Irma after my great-great-grandmother, so I was like, that's a little strange for me personally, so we didn't pursue that. And there's been like little hints that like, if I'm remembering correctly, Tullio just full on kissed Lucius on the mouth in the during the dance, and I'm gonna gush about Josh for a second because there's a moment where like after the kiss he just reaches up and like just lightly touches his lips, and I'm like, that's such fucking good like physical acting. There's no reason you should be doing that. It's so good. It was so good.
Josh really comes into his own as Lucius. I gave him the Lucius stuff, which I had already written, and he was just like, it's like the Family Guy meme where he's like, hello, got it.
Yeah.
It was very much how Josh did Lucius, and it was perfect. Unfortunately, that thing that Josh had proposed about Lucius, and then when I had come to you with Irma, and that was not, you weren't willing to do that, I had then forgotten, and that's my bad. I had literally forgotten to get back to Josh about that, so I think he also just dropped it without asking, because Josh is also like that. Josh is just like, oh, I guess it's not cool. All right, fine.
Yeah.
I feel bad about that now.
We got the kiss. It's fine. But yeah, there's so like to answer the comments of where's the incest, it's in Tullio and Imogen. They're
Hope
cousins.
That's
Wow.
Excuse me. Let's
also-
bring up. Yeah.
Yep.
It's also
Get it,
it's
Rachel.
also it's also in Maria and Catherine.
True.
Yeah,
Very
Let's
true.
not
True.
forget that.
We're gonna move to Katrin and Maria in 1 second. But again, here's the storyteller grumble. I didn't actually get to it. So sorry. My storyteller grumble is and this is gonna also include Avery, because I gotta grumble at Avery whenever I can. You see, here's this thing that happened, is that I wasn't really aware that there was a romance happening. I wasn't picking up on it. Shockingly, as a storyteller, you're juggling a lot of balls. And then Avery's character Edgar starts talking about them getting blood married, and I'm like, what's happening? What's going on? Who's blood marrying? What? And then now that's a thing. And I'm going to be real honest with everyone. I am working my stussy off to try and figure out where I can fit that blood marriage into the next season. I'm working on it. I really am.
I'm
I
so
don't know
excited.
when we can do it with the Shadow Bane thing going on at the moment that I've been building towards, but I will figure it out. I really will. It might be an epilogue. It might be the last episode of Berlin Bloodlines. I don't know, but I'll get to it. I swear.
The answer is we stop
And I
worrying
blame
about the
I
Shadow Bane.
blame Avery entirely. You want to look at wait, I missed it.
What you said,
Rachel, one more time.
Oh, I just I was just saying, I just forget about the Shadow Bane. Nothing wrong with that.
There you go.
And I'm just saying, and I want to be very clear about why Edgar mentioned that to Tullio and to Imogen, and it was simply to consolidate the amount of people he had power over so that he could leverage his own political power.
And there's a lot
Sick
of cool
fuck.
Luna and Ramos and I have talked about the blood wedding. There's a lot of cool stuff we want to incorporate into the blood wedding, a lot of really hurtful emotional things, which I love. But it's just if there is any one thing that I stick to when I'm storytelling, it is a quote from Stephen King that says something to the effect of that the story has to have a logic, it has to follow some sort of logic. If the logic dies, the story dies, and if the logic dies, the magic dies, and if the magic dies, the story dies. So in the midst of dealing with something, the Shadow Bane, that is literally possibly going to rip the city apart and turn it into the Shadowlands, I don't know if logically the characters would be like, well, we should just have like a real quick blood wedding, like
Yeah,
a
I
quick
think the
Vegas
same
blood
thing.
wedding.
I
type of
thought
thing.
the same
Quick
thing.
Vegas
Like
blood wedding.
Imogen's priorities are a little, as much as she loves him, her priorities are a little.
Yeah.
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 And we have we also have to remember that we're immortal creatures, right? So like time doesn't necessarily mean the same thing as it does to, say werewolves. So vampires do things on a much different timetable. I'll figure it out. I swear to God. My God. I'll figure it out. Thank you, Avery. That was awesome of you to do that. Rachel,
I
you want to talk about Katrin really quick, and feel free to talk about how much I like.
Okay, so I knew going into Maria that I wanted to explore a little bit of romance. I didn't know at the time how much I would want to get into it because again, this is my very first like big story with Huddy, and I didn't want to overwhelm Huddy too much with everything that I wanted to do.
All my
Um,
stories are the same. They're no bigger or lesser.
So I just kind of went in. I was just like, hey, I'd love to have a ghoul that I was having like an on again, off again romance with. That is all we started with. And then we came up with we did a little back and forth, kind of similar to how we built Maria's backstory, and just like, you know, how do they know each other? They met at a family gathering. Yes, they are what, cousins or something? Yeah. And it kind of just went from there, slowly building on the more toxic side of things, in that when Maria was turned, she kind of felt mortality with her cousin lover, and she just ghouled her then. And it's kind of just been like, for Maria, it was very much I'm keeping her close because I don't like losing things. Yet she's also very much within like the morally dark of I kill people to do what I do. And when I saw what was happening between Edgar and Aelin, and I saw what was happening between Tulio and Imogen, and somewhat of what was happening between Adelaide and Kasim, which I didn't see the toxic side of things until a little bit later, I was just like, okay,
We'll
I
get
see.
into that soon.
I was like, I see a little bit of a lot of like pseudo happy romances, even if they're like toxic in their own ways. There's a lot of like positive ones. And that's when I approached Huddy and I'm like, let's get super toxic with this. Let's show like a dark relationship.
Rachel's like, let's get weird.
Let's get really weird.
Let's get weird, buddy. So yeah. So what was really fun is that Rachel, you know, I when Rachel was like, let's get weird, I was like, great. How weird can I get? I said, how toxic can I make Katrin? Because the crew all knows that Katrin is my favorite NPC to play because I can fit her like a glove. I'm poured into Katrin. I am in real life very mean. I'm not very friendly and nice. I know you think I am, but I'm not. I'm actually kind of mean and terrible, and no one should actually like me. So I can, all those toxic things of my own personality, I can pour into Katrin really easily, and it makes it really fun. She is very cold. She's very calculating. She's, you know, sort of all the worst aspects of a person that you could be. She's very manipulative, and it's unfortunate. I feel bad because Maria is kind of the nicest person in the coterie. I feel like it kind of doesn't really deserve that. You know, but maybe that's why she's drawn, because Katrin is so domineering. She's her ghoul, but she's so domineering over everything.
That's kind of where I wanted to get into with it, was because of the fact that like how I've kind of portrayed Maria is that, well, I mean, Maria kills people. Maria does a lot of dark shit, but she loves the people that she feels that she actually cares for. And how toxic that gets also hurts her to a big degree. And this is something that, like, admittedly, that I'm pulling from my own experience, having been in toxic relationships in the past and other situations that I don't really want to get into that I've experienced. Maria is so afraid of losing Katrin that she, up to a point, is willing to do anything to keep her.
Yes. I'm the toxic one. I can do that. I'm real good. I can do real good. Is it me? Am I the problem? Well,
we're both toxic. Let's not forget the line that Maria dropped of the "if you love me, you'll do this."
Yes, which you know what? It's great playing with people who know you really well and that you can trust, and you don't really have to worry too much about crossing certain lines, because Rachel in real life knows that is a line that I hate. as a person, really. And I think you dropping that line to me and me playing Katrin was the perfect catalyst for me to just go off. And I love that. That's one of my, honestly, one of my favorite scenes.
And we did check in with each other after that scene.
Yes. We're always checking in with each other. But not to talk about like what is going on in your real life, obviously. Otherwise, I would have known you and Luna were together. Obviously.
Yeah, all that to say is I'm very excited to get to season 2.
Yeah, and again, in the special sessions that will be coming next week, or the week after next, rather, we'll see a lot more toxic Katrin, my favorite, favorite toxic girl.
Which, speaking of, that is one of our questions: is season 2? What people are asking about that consistently.
That was totally a planned segue.
Yeah. Season 2. I don't have a concrete date for season 2. I'm working on it. I have a lot of things going on behind the scenes that I'm working on. My hope is to get started filming season 2 next year, is a hope that I have. Whether that hope will come to fruition remains to be seen. Please stay tuned to my socials and Rolling Nomad socials, especially my TikTok, because I do annoying things like I drop stuff before it airs just to be annoying. Just to make people, which worked, by the way, because now people know about the special sessions that have asked me about them. And they go like, what do you mean they're special sessions? And I'm like, whoops.
Here's a crumb.
Yeah, I'm annoying like that.
It's like Marvel leaks, honestly. Watching Honey's TikTok is like watching Marvel leaks happen. It's so addicting. It's so
I told
good.
you, I'm actually terrible and toxic, and
we are all
just
just
a horrible person.
ants in Huddy's ant farm, and she's just
Stop.
dropping crumbs for us.
Yeah.
Next question.
Big shout out to the Rissa Rave, by the way, for being one of the ones that's like the special what?
Yeah.
Okay, this is gonna be just a small segue for me. We adore the live reacts that you do, Rissa. I don't know if you're gonna watch. I know you're going to, but like we adore them. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We live for it. Anyway, we're gonna skip over this next question. I'm gonna say it. Who's your favorite NPC to play, Honey?
Katrin.
Yeah, for Bane and Blood.
Yeah, we haven't talked that much about Of Bane and Blood. My favorite NPC to play for Of Bane and Blood is someone who's almost like Katrin, except he's boy and he's also gay. Crack Teeth, the Glasswalker.
Really?
Hell yeah.
Yep. Because he's mean. Have you noticed? Have you
he's
noticed I like playing the mean characters?
Crack Teeth is
here.
a dick.
Yeah, he is.
Sweet, go spank him.
There's just something so fun about playing a character who really is like hard-headed and mean and stubborn. It's just so fun and it's so easy. End of sentence.
I'm holding
That's
back
the
a
shoe.
lot right now.
That's part of the shoe. Is like you're just like you have a one thing that you can relate to, and then you just do it.
Whereas playing Aelin or playing Maggie to a lesser degree, but playing Aelin is it's rough. When I have heavy Aelin scenes, heavy Aelin episodes are the days where then after the session's over, I go crash out because I feel completely taxed mentally.
Valid.
Yeah, that's fair. No, like full on getting in Adelaide's headspace. I'm just like, I'm gonna take a nap. She's a goddamn serial killer sociopath. I need a shower.
Is there a question that you can ask that you all can talk about while I go collect my dog who is crying in my bed?
Absolutely. So
Because I'm not in there.
Yeah, go
How
pet the
dare.
boy. So for us as the cast, can we tell people about something on our character sheets that we haven't really got to explore yet?
Oh goodness.
Yes.
Let me open Maria's sheet really quick so I can remember.
I feel like you're prepared for this, Luna.
Listen. I was supposed to be putting these on my Patreon, and then I am a bad person and forgot. So
Okay.
here's my opportunity.
I'm trying to remember if the thing has happened in Of Bane and Blood. Nope,
No.
never mind. So we're not going to talk about Timber's thing. But for Adelaide, so for those of you who were there for the Diablerie session, some blood potency went up, which the feeding type she currently had at the time doesn't work anymore. So Adelaide is now a blood leech, And I'm so looking forward to getting to play that out. She's a nightmare. I know everybody says she's a sweet bean. It's a lie. It's a mask. All I can think about is like the car ride with Tulio where they're bonding over being serial killers and
Yeah.
strategy.
The sweetest thing that Tulio can do for Adelaide is once he's done killing somebody and he's taken their skull, he gives Adelaide their hands.
Mhm.
And so
It's
that's gonna leave a pattern. It's gonna be so fun.
It's so sweet. It's the sweetest. Did you get everyone pulled up? Is everybody ready?
I
Yeah, I'm
got
ready.
mine.
I was
Okay.
gonna say Az actually can't say that Adelaide's not the sweetest bean because Az has proof on their TikTok of Jason Carl saying, and I quote, "Adelaide is the sweetest bean."
It is true. It has been stamped, and then there's the other comments of
And hang it up
she's
on
not
the wall.
she's not bad. She's fine. She's doing great. You're doing great, sweetie. You wish you were awful.
Okay, I have found Maria and Hannah.
Okay. Rachel, go for it.
I think it's kind of interesting, but this is like mostly like taken as like a prerequisite for something. But Maria knows necrotic plague, and that's
That's
never
fun.
really come into play. And also, and this is something that kind of happened in a play by post, but Maria had a girls' night with Adelaide, in which they did some fun stuff back and forth, getting a fetter made, and then Hannah knows how to do awaken the homuncular servant, so she could, or not Hannah, Maria knows how to do awaken the homuncular servant, so she could.
Certainly hope Hannah doesn't know how to do that.
Could you imagine?
Wild.
I would like to say
I-
abominations are canon in the Honeyverse. and
I was
we
about to
should all
say,
be
actually, I
afraid.
don't want to imagine because I regret every day that I made abominations canon in the final season of Blood on the Grand Strand.
so if Maria wanted to, she could make a Ted.
Mhm.
And as for Hannah, I don't think there's been anything that has been on her sheet that I haven't been able to use in one way or another, especially after the most recent episode where I got to use
If it's a special session, don't say it.
no, it was
Okay.
the most recently for Hannah. It was the most recent
for Hannah.
Yeah, recently aired one. We never really got into her touchstones though.
No, I know, and
Yeah.
there was always one thing in everyone's stuff that I just can't make room for because you're
Yeah.
that's we'll talk about that in the future, but that Hannah being in Potsdam has been sort of difficult for me to navigate.
No, it's completely fair. But yeah, those are really, at least for Hannah, the only ones. It's just like, yeah, the touchstones are like a big one.
What is the question? I missed the question. Getting my dog.
So the question is there something on our sheets that we haven't really explored in game?
Oh, okay.
Oh, and the fact that she actually has like a dot manipulation. Let's not forget. Like, but yeah,
Who's next?
I got mine. So funny enough, for how Imogen is a cult leader and how much I just adore the Bahari, I'm sure it doesn't say anything about me. I haven't gotten into her lore sheet things of Cultivar, Dark Seedling, and Fresh Cutting. I actually kind of
Nope.
forgot what they do because it's
No,
been
we
so
haven't.
long.
We haven't gotten into that. You know what? I got some plans for that. Now that I had forgotten about it as well.
I am happy to inspire with this reminder. Also, I think I've used our homebrew thing, Dark Mother's Song, once.
You did use it once, yeah.
Basically, I
you
get extra
used-
dice. What I used for?
You used it in the play-by post.
I did. That's where I used it. I'm real good.
Yeah, we got to
at
do
this.
that on screen. We got to do that on
Yes.
screen.
Yeah, I get extra dice for talking about Lilith.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Miss Savage Wind, she has Moonriled, and I always forget that she does.
Me too.
And so I have not used it once. And I'm sure that would really help. And that would have helped in some situations. Oops.
Whoopsies.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Mostly advantages. I forget about my advantages a lot.
It's hard. It's hard keeping track of all of it. Mistakes have been made.
Yeah,
But content. We just always say that to ourselves. Content. It's
Yeah.
content.
it's content.
content.
It's
Yeah.
upcoming content.
Ramos. Hi, honey.
Yeah, sure. Stuff we haven't seen. I'll start with Elias, just because there's stuff on here that on the sheet itself that hasn't really been touched on, but can kind of be expanded on. So being Ghost Council, the way Elias is built, he's built to brawl, and as I'm sure everyone has seen, that's kind of what he does best. But being Ghost Council, he is obviously the Ghost Council Horned Serpent's favor. He gets an extra die. He's supposed to be like investigative. We joke about the conspiracy board. I chalk that up to he's just not great at it.
Yeah.
He's just like, that's not like where his head's at. I chalk that up like Arun shines in more. But he does in fact, and we've seen his relationship with Statish. He has spirit summoning. He holds the right of spirit summoning and has a spirit pact with Statish at level 4. It's just that he hasn't called on him. When he does call him, and he's just kind of, Statish is just kind of there, and then every other spirit he kind of ignores. So he doesn't really use that. He hasn't really used that at all, actually.
I can't talk about it right now, but there is a very real and distinct reason why I have very not so subtly made Statish someone who isn't helpful right now, because I have plans for him. I can't imagine why I would have given you a Weaver spirit attached to you. I can't imagine, because you said, I said, what kind of spirit do you want? You said I can make it up. And so I did. I can't imagine why I would have done that.
Rachel.
So that reminded me of something, because I didn't think to look at my my gifts and rights, but I also do have the right of spirit summoning as well.
Yeah, but that's why you have Little Rat Boy. That's why you have Little Rat Boy.
As far as Tulio goes, there's not a terrible amount that hasn't been like touched on. I would say probably, because we've kind of revealed a lot about Tulio at this point. I don't know if I have anything for Tulio that hasn't been revealed yet.
I'm gonna give you something. Don't worry about
it. Oh.
That's ominous.
Horrific. Yeah, I don't know if I have anything for Tulio aside from the fact that like he's got we touched on it very, very briefly in the very beginning, kind of like with just a role, but he's got status in the Camarilla. As a merit. He having been kind of taught by Olivia, and kind of from the get-go groomed to lead, has status with the Camarilla, and is very upset when no one respects my name. He's so grumpy always.
Yes.
Poor baby.
Papa told me they would respect me.
It's almost like Papa and Olivia were our extraordinary insular people who didn't spend a whole lot of time outside of the family and didn't realize that those names only matter in the family in the year of Beyonce 2024. Avery, go for it.
All right. Yeah. So there is a thing that I've been wanting to get into Edgar with that we're going to see kind of a setup for it in these special sessions coming out. But I am very excited to fully delve into, because we've gone through the romance, right? We've done this. We've put the building blocks down. You've gotten to see that grow. And there's a part of Edgar that I alluded to with an oh so fateful screwdriver in prologue 1. And it's that Edgar is irrationally, impulsively angry. Edgar truly has a fury in him that has been burning him up inside in this first season, and I think it's kind of obvious because we see Edgar going through this arc of kind of a deep-seated depression as Aelin's power begins to grow. But what that truly is masking up is that he is becoming more and more irrationally furious at things he cannot put his hands on and change. And so I'm very excited to delve into, in season 2, Edgar putting those furious hands on something he can change. And as far as it concerns, since the Sweetwater, we get to see fun old grandpa Sweets making stupid anecdotes. It's the fucking moon water. We've all seen the meme at this point. And something that I would like to see explored a little bit more with Sweets, which I can't say anything, but I would love for you all to see how much of a bastard man that Crimson Howler was.
I'd like to say something to that point. I've tried to allude, and I think I try and save face later on when you see of Bane and Blood. Try to save face later on, but I've done a really bad job of alluding to who Crimson Howler was before he became Sense to Sweetwater. I did it really bad. I tried to do it in flashbacks, but I didn't do it the way that I wanted to do it. I hope you'll see that Crimson Howler and Sense of Sweetwater are two very different people. I hope. So sorry about it.
I tried to
got that
say it
vibe.
as Timber, but Timber, oh my god, that's one of the rough parts of playing Timber. Where it's like, yeah, no, you're not that guy anymore. That guy is there, but you keep eating him. So maybe we stop eating that guy and just be this guy.
Yeah. Timber is a delight.
For some minutes.
What is our next question? I've lost the plot of the
It's okay.
questions.
We're gonna get back in the plot with if you're gonna do a Camarilla story, or like a Changeling story, or a Mage story, or a Hunter story, which we can come back to that question if you'd like.
Will I do a Camarilla story? In essence, I would like to. I would like to tell. I am really enjoying spending time in Berlin. I would like to tell a Camarilla story. I would like to tell an Anarch story. Those things are future things because at the moment right now, Berlin is in a bad place, Anarch v Camarilla, and really it's the Hikata who are going to shape Berlin. And if you want to know, okay, here's a question I didn't put on the doc that I got in a DM once. That was why didn't I base this story, since it's in Germany, why didn't I base this story in Munich, since Cults of the Blood Gods story of Cults of the Blood Gods takes place in Munich? Simple answer is I don't like Bavaria. Cancel me.
Oh
All of
no, we
Bavaria
haven't had this
screaming.
conversation. We didn't have this conversation before.
I don't
Huddy.
like Bavaria. Ich bin nicht bayerisch. I don't like Bavaria. Bavaria is all Lederhosen and Oktoberfest and big pretzels and big huge things of beer. That is all Bavaria. That's not Germany. That's Bavaria. And I did not want to do it there. The end. Rather do it in Berlin. Berlin's way cooler. Have you been to Berlin? It's way
Ouch,
cool.
my heritage.
It's super. It's super cool.
Yeah, super
Sorry.
cool.
Yeah. All right. Oh, we could have segued in this one pretty easy. What are some of the challenges in these games for you and for us as players? So
I wish I
me,
didn't write.
Timber.
I should have. I wish I did. That's too broad of a question. I should have not written that one down.
Well,
But we're getting to the end of the list because
we are.
now I'm
I'm
getting
it's
tired.
fine. We compiled them. We did the thing.
Oh.
Timber, which you get to see in the next episode. Timber relies heavily on stolen words.
Yes.
Because I was like, hey, Huddy, can I have this pact with this crow spirit? Because I think it's super ragabash. So that like Timber can be up to speed on talking, especially if like she's just starting out. Because that was the story I wanted to tell, is that new Lupus born figuring out how to be Guru, how to be human. It's going great.
Challenges for me. Maybe running werewolf for the first time, and I maybe should have done a home game of it first. Instead of jumping right into doing an actual play of it.
No.
I think I could have done it better.
Stop it.
I'm not stop it. Get some help. I'm very critical of myself, and I don't love how I ran werewolf. I could have done it better. I will strive to do it better in season 2. That's my challenge.
I'm gonna take that question off the list. There will be a season 2.
There will be a season 2 of Bane and Blood. There will be.
Yes. What about for you guys? Challenges?
Oh, so sorry. Someone in the chat agreeing. Someone who's France. Paris is not France. Thank you. Thank you.
Paris is. I'm gonna say
Thank
something as well
you.
that's controversial.
No, but
Paris fucking sucks.
No, but there is a thing though. But that is very thing that happens is that certain stereotypes come out of a place, and then you associate the whole place with that place. If you go to America right now, they're like Oktoberfest. It's German. I've lived in Germany since 2013. I've never been to an Oktoberfest. Not because they don't. I couldn't go to Munich and go to them, but they're in Munich. They're not here where I live. They're not in any part around where I live. That is just a Munich thing. But over like in America and other places, they go like, oh, well, that's German. Lederhosen. I've never seen anyone walking around in a pair of fucking Lederhosen or a dirndl. I've never seen that before in my life. Just over there, they do that.
I feel like when you say that, I feel like I was lied to for most of my life.
I'm just picturing Huddy just like one day going to Munich and just like chain smoking cigarettes, just watching people like fucking tourists, and then just enraged.
No, but they do that. The non-tourists do that over there. Someone coming here to my city wearing a dirndl, they'll laugh at you because, believe it or not, the traditional garb of the city I live in is wearing a strawberry hat. I wish I was lying about that. You can Google it. The traditional culture of the Black Forest, which is where I live, is strawberry hats.
Yeah.
Oh, they're kind of cute though.
You can Google them. You can Google them.
They have been
Oh,
Googled.
Jesus.
Can confirm. Adorable.
To go back onto the question though, can you repeat the question to me one more time, just so it's fresh in my mind?
Challenges as a player.
Most of my experience with roleplay in TTRPG has been in the text-based form. I have not done before this, outside of Witcher Ways of Old, and Transylvania Beckons. I had not, like, these have all been my first experiences doing actual plays, and getting into the improv of that, and also making sure that I am stepping into my character as much as I need to be, and keeping that separation has been an interesting challenge. But I would say the biggest one is definitely like the actual like improv aspect of it, and having to have an answer to a question, and then letting that loop back into everybody else's role play instantly has been the hardest part. Instead of being able to like sit there, take a lot of time to really craft a response like you would in a play-by-post. It's you got to be, and like that's been a really the hardest challenge, but also the funnest for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say okay. We get real chat. It's time to get real.
All right.
Everyone hunker down.
I'm a
Yep.
lesbian, so I have to say, let's be real. All right, there you go.
Okay, there we go.
Perfect. Me. I'm my biggest challenge. I am my worst critic. When I was playing Imogen, and then like what Huddy said, Rosalind, and then Theo. Lorelai, not so much. Lorelai, I picked up a little faster, but those three in particular, but I'm going to focus on Imogen. I was floundering I felt like I was, anyway, for the first several prologues and episodes. The reason the Bahari party was so hard for me was because how anxious I was to, like, kind of carry the story a little bit. So, take it from me. Don't listen to yourself. Don't listen to those thoughts past 2 a.m. because they're liars and they're not real. And so long as everyone is at the table is having a good time with you, You just gotta take that at face value because, yeah, I finally broken the habit of asking if I did well during a particular episode because now I'm getting to the point where I feel more confident in myself. But yeah, I would say, well, getting into the shoes of my character, it takes me a minute. I have to feel everything out. That's why prologues are so good for me because it gives me extra time to do that before we get into the main plot. Yeah, that's my biggest challenge is me, myself, and I.
Yeah, you can't trust the brain weasels. They're
No.
lying.
Yeah.
We gotta get them fancy party hats with little jingle bells.
Yeah, I agree.
Those are
That's
silly
that's
little
also,
clowns.
that's also
Yes.
something I struggle with. I feel that.
Did Avery go?
No, baby, your turn.
Sorry, our old man dog needed to go outside very quickly. He has a small bladder and doesn't realize it. Yeah,
100 pounds of
so
fluff.
I think for me the biggest challenge that I have coming to the table is that I want to be very considerate of what everyone has going on with their characters. And I oftentimes have an issue perceiving when my time to interject and become actionable on the things that my character would know or want to do. And so I think it's very easy, at least for me, to misread a cue and jump into a spot, and I think it has gotten much easier for me to detect that over the 2 seasons that we've done together. And I would encourage anyone else who's having that issue to just play more. Just play more. You'll figure it out. Like it
Word.
get a group of people you're comfortable with and just keep playing games with them, and you'll figure out the chemistry and where to interject, and it'll all be fine. It's not as awkward as you think it is.
It's
I
true.
personally disagree for myself. I think I'm a terrible player. Next question.
No. Gilbert.
Oh, Gilbert doesn't go. Sorry. So sorry. But I'm so sorry. I missed the beginning of it, so I didn't know.
No, you're good. For me, I think the most difficult thing as a player comes from the fact that I'm a very structured, very organized. I commonly say that I'm a control freak. So I think about actions and reactions, and like I live by like a personal schedule, like that's made in an Excel document. So the issue that I run into, and it's gotten a lot better, is like I plan things out. So like the even if it's a quick spur of the moment choice that I have to make, I automatically think, okay, I know the reaction of this. I know what will happen. And when that doesn't happen, I kind of short circuit, and I don't know like what to do with my fucking hands. And it's gotten a lot better because with the most love in my heart, nothing is as it seems in a Huddy game. There's always things. So like we talked a little bit about like the villains and like the bastards that we see in the Huddyverse. And like we're so frequently in like the Discord or like the chat that we discuss things like fuck this person, we're gonna murder them, and then like Huddy will throw in like you can, and it's just like it makes you think of like what are their motivations, what's the reason, and like my immediate reaction is fuck their motivations, I'm gonna murder them anyway. But then their motivations get revealed. I'm like now I have sympathy. Shit. So it's just to sum it up, it's just planning ahead too much. And it's gotten, like I said, it's gotten a lot better because nothing is as it seems, and there's always something that like you don't know, and like another factor, and it's been really cool to deal with.
I would agree, and a great example of like not knowing like what's actually going on is Minerva, and that's all I'll say on that.
Yeah.
Oh man, or the Osric scene where I was like, I hope he's got a weapon.
Yeah.
Because Adelaide's like, all right, this man is at the point, we're just gonna keep pushing him until he kills Olivia. Hopefully he's got a knife. And they pull out a goddamn shotgun. And I was just like, well,
Well, it's a weapon, I guess.
Honestly,
You are free to kill any NPCs that you would like to.
See you
And
say
look
things
what
like
happened.
that.
Fine. Everything's fine.
I encourage it.
Honey, was there anything for you in particular?
I already said I would have practiced running werewolf before running it in an actual play.
Okay. All right.
Other
Okay.
than that, I'm
This is not me
I'm
trying
gravy,
to get
baby.
this document to load again. It's fine. Everything. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, here's one for actually you and because you edit all of our stuff. What's the turnaround time for our episodes? Because we pre-record, and then with that, like, do we record all the episodes in one go? We don't. I'm gonna take that one. We don't. I'm gonna be real. Like, no, that's every
we
episode is about
record week
3
by
hours.
week, and then sometimes I will steal one of them to do something sneaky and suspicious.
We will get
Like-
messages
like
randomly in the
Luna.
middle of the night, just being like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you free tomorrow for like a couple hours?"
And I know it's like mid afternoon for you, honey. And so like all of a sudden, 1 a.m. What are you doing tomorrow?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and one of the reasons we pre-record is because of our time schedules. Like, we're all over the place. Yeah, it just makes it easier.
The turnaround time is actually quite fast because Ramos said something like being a control freak, or I have a phrase that I say quite often that I enjoy. I'm anal, but not in the fun way. So I have a very quick turnaround time. I'll get everything at it. I probably should, because they have a whole team at the Rolling Nomads to do stuff for me. Like they're doing all this for me. They wanted the Fireside chat. They wanted all this. They wanted this. All right. So they have to do it because they wanted it. But when it comes to the Huddyverse games, whether it's Blood on the Grand Strand, Are We Dead Yet, Berlin Bloodlines, of Bane and Blood, and anything else that's coming in the future, if I am the SD, I am in control of all those things. I do all the editing, music pick out, I make the thumbnails, I make all the promos, I do all of that by myself because I am anal and not in the fun way. Next question.
I resemble that comment. Anyway, we'll get to that later. That was a weird segue. Can we just roll that back? So what would happen if one of our characters met the final death?
If one of your characters met the final death, I would give you the opportunity to say, I am ready to bow out of the game. And then your character would be no more, and you would be no more a player in the game. Or I would allow you to roll a new character. I would leave the decision entirely up to you. For the future, if Huddy is a player in your game, and Huddy's character dies, Huddy does not roll a new character. Huddy dies forever. Just
please.
as of, which I did tell you that when we did Transylvania Beckons multiple times. And that is still something I stick to.
And that's why we
Also
protect
because
Gisela.
I'm very busy. I'm very, very busy. Yeah, that's why you wouldn't kill Gisela. Yeah, I'm also very, very busy.
I tried to kill Gisela.
I needed my emotional damage none, okay?
I was very worried I was going to kill Gisela. That was so rough.
I
for
would
me.
have. Do you know how much I would have loved that?
That was so rough for me.
You almost killed several of us, Gilbert.
I would have been so happy.
Avery gave me a
If I
sheet.
could
and was
flip
like,
off the principal, I'd be so happy.
Avery gave me a sheet and was like, "Here you go." And I was like, "This is the greatest gift I've ever received. How could I thank you for this?"
And I believe my actual response verbatim was, I bet you won't kill one of them, pussy.
within like what, the first 5 minutes of the fight, Jill's already almost bisected by that fucking sword.
Yeah.
Dissected, on fire.
Gisela
everything.
was on her knees, ready to be beheaded.
Yep.
And she
her
said, "Cleanse me
coterie-
with your holy fire."
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
I didn't disrupt. I was gonna let it happen.
Yeah,
you,
your
if you got a
coterie-
gripe with that, you got to talk to Luna.
Yeah,
so
Luna
Sorry.
came in and
Rosalind was like, "No."
Mine.
Well, not the
Emotional
Balkavian.
damage done. Yeah.
Mine none.
But if I am a player in any other future games here on the Rolling Nomads and I die, and I think you all know me enough by now where I would love a tragic, horrible death, or even just an inconsequential one, I do not roll new characters.
Yes.
And not because I don't like you. It's just that's fine by me, and also I'm busy and I can do that. Frees my day to do other things because I'm anal
truthfully-
and not in the fun way.
That, and truthfully, it's so much more impactful if like the player is not seen, at least for like a while after that. In my opinion, personally.
I agree. It's got that anticipation factor to see if they're going to come back and what they're going to bring.
But if you died in Berlin Bloodlines or of Bane and Blood, like Luna almost did in the last episode, then like real close, I really thought Lorelai was gonna die. Then I would give you the choice.
Yeah, and then we would send you our backup characters that we've made. Because yeah,
Like doing the crossword puzzle in Pen, I do not have backup characters.
That's such a great line, Huddy.
it's
Thank
weird.
you.
It's not a problem. It's fine. Anyway, so let us see. Final death. Yep, did that. Answered those questions originally.
Mhm.
Accidentally answered that one.
Yeah, we did
Do
do
we-
that, didn't
Yeah.
we?
Do we want to talk about another impactful moment, not just something dark, but just something that impacted our characters
I got one.
or the story? Because I know there was a few. Speaking of Gisela moments, where it's just we rolled those dice, 12 successes. Here's the plot.
Never
Or change the
forget.
plot.
Oh, that was a great moment. Yeah,
Yeah, it was good. It was a good
not
one.
for Avery.
They're fine.
But yeah, I have a moment.
Like
for-
I was worried. Sorry, good.
No, you're good. I have a moment for Maria that really like dictated the course of where I was going to take this character. Two moments actually. The first one was I brought it up before, but revolving around Minerva, Maria's sire. After learning stuff about the blood bond and just like how intense things were there, I was so dead set on Maria final deathing Minerva and taking her spot. And Huddy just kept sending me like smiles and stuff like that. I was like, sure, sweetie. And then we get to that moment where we confront Minerva, and then we get the full, or at least most of the backstory of who Minerva is, why she was doing what she was doing, and it just utterly shattered my heart and Maria's heart, and literally changed the entire course of how I was planning on taking Maria's character. That leading into Maria becoming the Pope for the family. That was those two moments were so impactful for me that I had to change my notes or straight up tear some up.
What about you, baby?
There's only really one moment where I feel like impacted well, one I can't talk about yet, but there's one moment that I can talk about. And that moment truly was playing as Edgar in the scene where Olivia meets her final death. Because I had a character metabolism in my brain that I haven't shared with anyone at this point. So this is gonna be the first and probably only time I ever say it. There was a genuine kind of in my Edgar muse brain space. Watching her die broke his heart. There was still love there, and I don't think that was something that I had connected. I didn't that was something that was so underlying in this creative current in my brain that is Edgar, that through all of the horrible shit that Olivia had put him through pitting him against Tulio since we found Tulio, and through everything that she had done to manipulate the entire circumstance of his life, which he now knew at that point that all of his issues stemmed from Olivia, even with all of that as conscious, rational knowledge, Edgar is so deeply knotted up and unfamiliar with who he himself is that I, as Edgar's player, had not yet connected that he still loved her and wanted to try and bring her back from this. Not that it would have ever been possible. Olivia was a bastard woman. She was the worst. Like, she literally, when Huddy and I were talking about Olivia in our first opening character talks, it was, this is a character that will never be redeemed. They're they're horrible to their core. They are the most rotten thing.
I can tell you for sure, I never used the phrase that she can never be redeemed. That I never said. But I did say she was Mallory from Archer. Whether you think Mallory from Archer could ever be redeemed is your own personal opinion. However, in terms of Olivia, I'm sure it made it more difficult. And that was my hope or my reasoning for you knowing the backstory, because you didn't know the backstory of Olivia. You didn't know that she was actually born in Giovanni. You didn't know that she was made Duncern against her will by her own brother. All these things that come out as the characters explore more of the theme of Berlin Bloodlines is generational trauma. So as all these things come out, my intention for always with that is for you to decide where the line is for your character of feeling sympathy or empathy for someone you hate. I don't know why I do that so often, but I do it a lot. It's just it's an anchor I can sort of throw out there that I know will get emotional responses, because content and good storytelling is important. So I'm glad that was impactful for Edgar. I think that is a really good point of where Edgar began to spiral into the depression, where he's currently sitting up until we get through sessions of special sessions.
Mm-hmm. And once again, the meme, I'm not emotional.
Yes.
Yeah.
Edgar is extraordinarily emotional.
All the time, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with the sire death that hit Adelaide. Yeah. Adelaide's mourning a person she never actually met.
Correct.
For her daughter. She killed Ibrahim for her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And now is passing on that generational trauma. Full on.
Yes.
Like, because she wants Bella to have the life she wanted.
That's correct. We have a question in the chat.
We do? Let's see. What are the chronicle tenets for Berlin Bloodlines? Edgar is never allowed to be happy.
Yeah, that's first and foremost. That's number one.
Top two.
Yep.
That's not actually the chronicle tenets. For
That's
some
not.
reason, the chronicle tenets aren't listed, although I had a screenshot of them at one point.
So the chronicle tenets for
A screenshot.
oh my, they're gone. They're not on Adelaide's sheet.
I don't think they're on mine.
They're on.
No, I had them because I had them literally there.
Yeah, they were
I know
a
one
screenshot.
of them is. Yeah, I know. I had a screenshot of them.
That's wild.
Where did they go? Where did that go? I must have accidentally deleted it when I
Well,
was
we did come up,
rearranging things.
yeah, when we did come up with the chronicle tenets of Edgar can never be happy,
That was
and the Honeyverse tenet that Avery's characters have to suffer.
No, no.
We know the tenets.
Oh my God, Ben.
That's so bizarre. Hold on, let me look at it. I must have written that somewhere. They're not on Edgar's sheet either? I don't
No.
expect them to be.
No, I saved them on Edgar's sheet the last time I updated it, but I think I also turned my computer off while I was still saving, because I'm an idiot person.
Sure.
Oh my
One
God,
of
they're not on
them-
mine either.
One of them is about harming innocents because girls' night.
Mhm.
Yes, I know. That's why
No unnecessary harm.
Wow, if I go through my Are We Dead Yet and my Blood on the Grand Strand ones, they're also not there.
We have them.
What cruel bastard! What cruel Nosferatu was just like no rules, no masters.
That's really bizarre.
Everything
Are
is
they in
permitted,
the-
nothing is forbidden.
Wait, sorry. I need to know. Are they in they're in the werewolf? They are still in the werewolf, but you know what? That's
we
not a
have the werewolf
screenshot.
one.
That's actually written out.
We had I remember we had
all the screenshots, but now they're gone.
we had no unnecessary cruelty. We had oh god, there was like
Hogtied a priest in a trunk.
yeah.
Yeah.
We had tenants.
We had one that came from Avery that was something to the effect of like, that played into the screwdriver thing that was like, take never let anyone take from the family something.
Yeah, it was something
to
from
that.
familial like
Yeah.
not unity, but like we had someone that was like basically encouraging a unity between the coterie.
What's funny is we don't have to worry about having it on the sheet because it's in the Discord, but not when the screenshots of the Discord disappear.
Well,
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried looking to see, like, just straight up searching the word tenants, and
Yeah.
the only thing that came up
Same.
were tenants of Lilith.
Yeah.
Hey,
there we go.
It's a sign.
Those are my
Those are
tenants.
also
So the tenants of Lilith are the tenants that are coterie ghosts.
I have what's crazy is I always do a
no.
screenshot for everyone's tenants. The only one I didn't do that for is the werewolf one. They're all gone. So that's fun.
wild.
That's wild. It's not even in my notes. I usually put
While-
them in my notes.
Oh, I have the chronicle tenants for werewolf on my sheet.
Yes,
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
they're written
Command
out.
Empire.
Yeah.
It's because we've done too many things.
We're
We're
riding that line.
irredeemable at this point.
We will hammer those down for season 2 and
Yes.
make sure that we
Yeah,
Yeah.
because one of them was about the family because it kind of aligned with Adelaide's, which
because
hers
you
is
were
written
breaking
on
chronicle tenants in the play by posts.
all the time. Adelaide's a nightmare.
Yeah. So whoopsies.
We'll
I should
get-
have had them written down at the very least.
For the chat, we'll get back to you on that.
They-
We will find them.
The tenets we had were to bring some sort of cohesiveness to the coterie and
Yeah,
to
'cause
not have torture at the table.
Most of
Yeah.
us, I remember very, very vividly the familial sort of unity one because most of
Yeah.
us fucking
Yes.
hated the family and didn't want anything to do with each other,
Yeah.
Uh,
Correct.
or like wanted to like backstab one another. Most of us were willing to like sell each other out for a fucking
Respect your
coin flip.
allies was one of them.
That's
Yeah.
entirely possible.
Yes.
I believe that as well, because like
Because
I
we
know
never talk about what allies means.
Mhm.
I know like one of Maria's convictions was based around that in a way. Is respect
Yes,
is earned by
and
actions.
one of Ramos's convictions was based around the chronicle tenet of unifying the family as well, which is why Tulio is so adamant about it. So whoops, we'll codify those again. I won't do
Well-
screenshots. I'll write it down in the Discord and not take a screenshot.
We'll hunt through the Discord, through the many, many messages, and we'll find them.
I don't want
Just
to.
not right now. I'll do it. I'll do it. It's fine. But yeah, no, because we in Berlin we all hated the family for reasons, or we loved them and wanted to kill them because of it.
Mhm. If it's all right, because I had a moment I wanted to share because it
Mhm.
for the previous question, a moment that was oh my god, I lost the question.
Impactful.
Impactful.
Thank you.
for your
I
character.
lost the word. Impactful for the character. I wanted to share because Huddy has this way of like giving the characters what they need, not what they want. So like after Tulio, like vying for power and wanting to lead and like do all this crazy shit, I was like, Elias is not born to lead. He is going to hit things and maybe investigate some stuff, and that's his role. He's gonna chill. And then this not ironically, but like this all stemmed from the moment with Cascada, where they first kind of like cement their relationship, and it was all downhill for him from there. He, since like being involved with Cascada, has been put into a position where he has to like no leadership and no power. Also, like, cannot just like brazenly go forth and hit shit, and like is not content to just be a soldier anymore, and has ironically something bigger to fight for than just the fight for Gaia. That the biggest impact for that was being with Cascada, the first like turning point of him changing his viewpoint and look, and now he's stressed the fuck out.
It's almost like you're saying, like, don't tell Huddy what you want. Huddy will tell you what you want.
It's true. It's honestly true.
Relatable
Because
content.
in the again to go back even further, Huddy and I have had plenty of conversations about Tulio and his aspirations to lead and like rule the family and become the heir to the crown of shadows, and like the question constantly gets asked, or the question that's constantly in my head now for Tulio is like, do you want to rule and lead the family, or do you basically like, is that what you actually want? Like,
No, my question I've always continuously asked you is, well, what does Tulio want?
yeah, and it's
What does he to what end?
yeah, and it's the
The silence is deafening.
yeah, because
I remember Adelaide asking Tulio that in the play-by-post, and Tulio was like, "I don't want to be here anymore."
Yeah, because he's a torn individual. He again, nothing is going as Tulio. That's one thing Tulio and I share, is that he's a planner, and like he had this method of like, when I get there, they will all respect me, and then it didn't happen. So he's just like, nothing's going right. I actually want this, and Imogen makes him happy, and that seems like enough, but it feels wrong that that's enough. So he's just like, do I have to? I think I have to. Can I not, though? That'd be really kind of neat. Whereas Elias is the exact opposite, where he's just like, I don't want to lead. And Cascada's like, you could do it, though. And he's like, I care about you.
Really, babe? You think so? Sorry.
Yeah, it's rough.
So sorry.
You gotta love that.
Impactful. I'll say something to that. Most impactful scene for me, in Berlin Bloodlines. Oh God, I have a lot. But here's one I'm gonna pick. Most impactful is that it's important for everyone to know that when I do prologues, very often I don't want, and they're closed. I don't want anyone in there, especially the other players.
I know where you're going. Okay.
So I'm not going where you think I'm going, but I don't want anyone in there. So in the last prologue of Berlin Bloodlines, it is just Josh, Syrinx, and Zach, and it takes place in 2000, before most of them are around, and they're talking about Aelin. It's very obvious that they're talking about Aelin. They're talking about a singer of light and the Shadow Bane and this, that, and the other thing. And of course, none of these players were there. So when that is revealed in episode 1, when Zach is just like, yeah, talking to the Witch of Kudam, and she's like, the only one who could stop the Shadow Bane is a singer of light. If you go back in that moment and you watch Avery's face, and Avery at the time was sucking in a vape, and just completely evaporates from the screen. And it was so perfect, because it's like, Avery's like, I don't want to be here, actually. And the vape was trying to make that happen for them. You see just this, and I don't know how much of this was Avery being surprised by it, and how much of it was just Edgar, but you just see this drop in the facade of Edgar to like complete despair. Like from 0 to 60, complete despair. And that's if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be around doing this, honestly.
We were feral waiting for the episode to drop. It was.
I know. I noticed.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Huddy's persists off of Avery's despair.
I do.
It's almost. I was gonna say it's almost like it's a tenant.
Suffer for me.
What can I say? I suffer good. I don't know.
I'd like to know what that moment was like for you as it was happening. Because we had a lot of with Zach being a surprise. That was truly a surprise. I put it up on my TikTok. Nobody knew Zach was in there. That was truly a surprise. So we had a lot of like surprises happening in that episode.
Well, I mean, I gotta start with honestly, any chance to hang out with Zach Rivaldo is an absolute delight. I don't care if we're doing it in character, out of character. An absolute gentleman and a consummate professional. I love Zach to death. However, seeing him in that context was mortifying. That truly for me, like I had kind of built Edgar with a decent amount of composure. Composure is for another little peek behind the curtain. Composure is Edgar's second highest ability. So Edgar has this face that he wears, but I always love to build a character with strengths with very, very potent weak places in their armor. And that is always going to be Aelin for Edgar. And so to have a complete stranger come in and shoot directly in that weak spot with more knowledge about his own like love interests powers than he had, as a kindred who plays with the knowledge hungry flaw, absolutely destroyed him. Like that whole veneer that he had built, that he was like, you know, with Tulio prologue 1 taking the dude's eye with the screwdriver, or you know, with Heidi and Klaus at the warehouse in the prologue where we met Kasim, where he was like, no, I'm gonna keep my fucking weapons. You ask your sheriff if that's okay. I'm not letting you take shit from me. Fuck you, I'm in charge. I had built up this veneer over all of these prologues, and then Zach just comes in with a right hook and just absolutely took me out. It was a delight.
It's almost like Huddy set that up on purpose.
It was an absolute delight to be, for lack of a better term, to be stuffed so easily as Zach comes into the scene.
Awesome. Are we full of questions? Are we done, or what are we doing?
We got a couple more left.
Oh God.
Yeah, and then we are solid.
Oh,
We've completed.
and then we can talk about the future.
And then we can talk about the future.
Future. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Future.
Future. Yeah.
Man, the impactful moment for Timber though is the Weaver trash episode, the one that's gone. Like,
Oh, I know. That might have been my favorite episode, and the Weaver ate it.
It's gone. Yeah.
Because
I
I
don't-
had a well, you know what happened is I had a computer update that morning, and what I didn't know when Windows updated that they would turn down my OBS in Windows. It was pinging fine in the software, but in Windows it was all the way down to 0.
That's so.
So
weird.
it was just my voice, just mine.
So yeah, that's
I'm not mad about it.
I no, everybody's fine about
No
it.
one here had to talk me off a
Hey.
ledge.
Yeah, no.
To be fair,
The
that
entire day.
that whole day
Yeah.
was kind of like full of like tech issues. Because remember, I lost power that day.
Yeah, we lost power, so we're trying to keep Rachel up to date with like what was going on, just in case, you know, the power came back on, she could pop back in. Yeah, no, full on. Okay, not fully. It's not a spoiler. Is it a spoiler?
I don't know. Like, it was,
I don't know what you're trying to say.
Not having
yeah, I
access
don't know what
to
you're
the
saying.
wolf and realizing what that
Oh,
could be
yeah.
like for Timber. That's one thing I can talk about. Yeah, the first time like she dropped
Yes,
down
because
and
we
couldn't.
talk about that. Yes.
Yeah.
I know why you think it might be a spoiler. You'll find out on Monday.
Yeah, you'll find out on Monday, fully.
But
yeah,
yes.
not like there being nothing she could do.
Right.
That feeling of actual Hirano, and looking at Maggie and being like, that could be me. I'm gonna stick on this plan, especially after insert redacted scene. We'll learn about it later. That was rough.
Mhm.
Poor Timber is just
Timber.
love Timber.
I've said it once because it's throughout of Bane and Blood, or rather throughout the Berlin Bloodlines. The show Chronicle Tenant is Edgar can never be happy. The Bane and Blood Chronicle Tenant is Timber can never be happy. Like that's.
See, here's the thing. Here's the thing. You know, I love all of my children. I don't have favorites. I do have a particular fondness for Avery and Az, if it's not obvious by anyone who watches me interact with them. Only because they like it when I hurt them, and they could deny it all they want to. They like it.
and
They really like
Correct.
it. They ask me to do it all the time.
I believe I sent you Adelaide and said, "Fuck me up, honey."
Yeah. So
And the same thing with Timber. But it was, "Is this okay if I play this kind of character?"
There's
And I was
a
like,
third person.
"Ruin me."
There's a third person who's not on screen here who also really enjoys when I hurt them, and that's Vin, who's in the chat.
Yeah.
I think every day, if they felt so inclined, he would ask me to hurt him in a game. He does it because he's respectful of my time. He knows that there will come times where we will play games and I will hurt him, and we both look forward to that very much. It's true. It is true.
Any other impactful moments before? I believe we're just gonna move on to
I can keep
the
this. I can
future.
keep this quick and
Yeah,
short because I
go
only
ahead.
did ones for Maria, but for Hana, honestly, it was right off the bat in the fucking prologue of Huddy just said, "Hey, we're gonna get dark with this. Just be prepared, be mentally prepared." I was like, okay, and just the wholesale slaughter that happened in that prologue, the quick turn of her friends in the Bergane tunnel, how she met the pack, everything that I had maybe built up in my mind of how I was going to approach this character, gone. We're doing this from scratch, and I really was going from it felt like a test in a very fun way. But that was such an impactful moment for me as a player with that. Yeah.
Fully, man, I love doing the prologues because we get to explore those different little aspects of our character where we finally get to all right, we've made this person, now we get to play them. Okay, how are we gonna play them?
Yeah,
And then, here we go.
Yeah, and I was just expecting, I was kind of expecting, I was expecting the death, but when you're in your character's shoes and you're presented with, the woman that was pretty much your mother and the mother of so many of other of your friends is now beheaded and strung up in front of you. Go.
Dun dun dun. And it'll happen again. Probably. Okay.
And
Luna.
also one more. Sorry. Go on.
No, go ahead.
Luna, you
I
have
was just
something.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I think aside from what I already talked about with the Bahari party, we know how I feel about that by now. Seeing Lilette's dead body completely changed Lorelai from being this happy-go-lucky creature to just being oh, I'm on a warpath now. I am a Black
You
Fury.
can also blame Avery for that, but
There's a
make a list.
There's a cut. I don't remember if it was on Huddy's or Avery's TikTok of the Huddy, or rather Edgar at the beginning of the Chronicle, and then Edgar now. And I feel like we definitely need something like that for Lorelai, because that moment was a big fucking change.
Yeah, she's big mad now, whereas she started out so happy and
She was so good.
sweet.
I make fan cams of you all the time. I do tons. You
true.
make you fan cams of you.
Noted.
You make you fan cam of you. I make you fan cam all the time.
I love that.
Also,
Also,
Okay.
English is Huddy's second language.
but no, I agree with that, Luna, a lot, because I saw that happen and I was just oh my god. And then just getting a chance to play of just separating Hana from that moment because she didn't want to take anything away from Lorelai in that moment either. That was so good, Luna.
Yeah. Big sad and a big mad,
Another moment that kind of defined how I was going about Hana as well happened in the most recently aired episode where we got to roleplay with the wonderful and lovely Cynthia Marie. The connection between Cynthia's character Sparkles and Hana was 100% ad-libbed and unexpected, and the giving of the necklace, the Hana coming to know her as Auntie Lydia and stuff, that literally changed the shape, because then there was still somebody that she knew that had, even if it was a pseudo familial kind of that connection to her from the past, showing up to her. That was just like, I felt Hana's rage and love in one go, and that was so overwhelmingly wonderful to get the role play. And like, oh, I'm so very excited for like what's to come.
Cynthia was wonderful, and again, behind the scenes, we had a private session, all of us, with Cynthia, where we did a little role playing, so Cynthia could get into the game a lot. That's why episode 6 is so good, because it seems like Cynthia had always been here with us, but we had that private session so she could, ask all of her questions and jump in. And Cynthia is, of course, a consummate professional. See her being professional in LA by night, New York by night, and tons of other things. So that was an amazing, and I'd like to say Cynthia asked to join us. She wanted to play werewolf. She hadn't played werewolf yet, so we were more than happy to accommodate her as such. One thing, as I'm not sure what the next plan of now questions are over. Sorry. So many questions.
Well, our last question is what our plans for the future are,
Yes,
and what our games are going to look like moving
I know
forward.
there's something that you want to do. I do want to go around and just talk about how much I like all you at some point before we leave.
We have to leave that for last because I hide it better than Huddy. But no, we don't talk about me. So you can talk about them. Plans for the future. I know I don't. I can try. It doesn't work. So, well, we already talked about that there's going to be a season 2 of Bane and Blood, season 2 of Berlin Bloodlines. What other things do we have in the works? I know some people were asking about a hunter game.
Yeah. Ramos, you're controlling the tech at the moment, aren't you?
I am.
Do you want to grab the art out of the Discord for the hunter game and put that up there so everyone can see it?
I absolutely will. This is gonna look not janky, but like I'm really just gonna superimpose the
No, that's the other game, Gilbert.
Fair. I'm gonna just throw the image over us just to give a kind of like a jump scare, I guess, is the best term I have for it.
Just flash it really quick.
And then get rid of it, like after 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Prove this. No.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I'm glad I see studio mode is the best, guys.
If you can't do it, it's fine.
No,
just say you can't do it.
How do you know me? And in transition 3, 2, 1, bam! There is there's the title of our hunter game, and the obviously the Hunter the Reckoning logo, and that's just a little teaser.
And that's the very famous Berlin Tower in the back there.
Yeah,
I know it's gonna be in Berlin.
So that's, like I said, just a little teaser. Yeah, they can still hear us, so feel free to discuss while this is on. I won't take it away off the screen just yet.
Well, I don't have a whole lot to discuss. We've all discussed the characters. Some are more finished than others. 2 guesses at who it is more finished.
Hey.
As an Avery are finished with their characters. Like I say, hey, let's play a game, and they're like, give me 20 minutes. So yeah, we have the whole gambit of the creeds and a bunch of the different drives, and we're gonna be doing some stuff that you will learn about in an epilogue of Bane and Blood.
I'm very excited. I'm so very excited.
That's a very exciting addition to the Huddyverse.
I'm looking forward to fucking dying in Hunter.
There's more additions coming to the Huddyverse.
Yeah, and I'm very excited for this to be this is the only splat that this is my first time playing. I've played every other splat of World of Darkness in the old edition. Even Mummy and Demon, I know, hate me for it, but it is a thing that I did. But Hunter is the only splat I haven't played, so I'm so stoked.
Yeah, me either. I've not played Hunter, so
same.
Oh my god. Okay, so most of us are going to be new at this. Hell yeah.
I have, because I'm a
You know,
nerd.
Ben and I were in the official Hunter the Reckoning Chronicle for World of Darkness. Just saying.
Oh my
We saw
god.
that.
I think the
I
only
forget.
other splat that
Trust-
I'm like super interested in outside of like Hunter, which has been on my to play list for a while now. The only other one I can think of that I haven't played yet is Changeling.
Yeah.
If they make a 5th edition Changeling, believe me, I'll be all over it.
The goddamn sugar cubes. Anyway, it's fine. Watch
Be
Are We
all
Dead
over it.
Yet for that
Yeah.
reference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be all over it. Don't even worry about it. Yes, and of course all these players will be back for Hunter because I'm doing a fun thing where I'm letting all the players play different characters in the same universe, and then I get to do fun things like say things about their own characters from other games and watch the light in their eyes die, which is the only way that I stay young and beautiful.
I'm totally gonna kill Maria.
Yeah, see, Vin knows about the sugar cubes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to just talk about my projects, or then do you want to talk about Rolling Nomads projects? How are we doing this?
Huddy, what other Huddyverse projects do you have?
Coming up, which will probably be coming up before the Hunter game, is the Cradle of Liberty, which is a Boston game. So this still Huddyverse. Every game that I run exists in the same universe. I keep all that in my brain because I have mental issues that we don't need to talk about. But Cradle of Liberty will be taking place in Boston, Massachusetts, which coincidentally happens to be my hometown. I know I don't sound like I'm from Boston, but I can if you want me to. And it'll be featuring players like Vin here in the chat. It'll be featuring Avery up there in the corner. Az will be making a guest appearance. Syrinx will be making a guest appearance. The other main coterie is Zach, Laura Tutu, and Tracy, or Miss Magitech, will also be part of the main cast. And it'll be taking place post Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song. So post the Code Red of the Second Inquisition, their first light operation in Boston, and how the fractured, broken, terrorized city is going to rebuild itself, or if it even can. Will be the premise of that game.
We did throw up the art for that as well, just to kind of give another little teaser.
It looks so good.
Yes.
I'm so stoked.
So just keep an eye on socials for release dates and the like.
I promise I'll get the times right.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring more people into the Rolling Nomads family. So I'm bringing in some of my friends like Vin and Laura Tutu and Tracy and Zach. So to come on in and be part of the main cast.
I'm so excited to get to play with them again.
Mhm.
Okay. Baby, you're up next.
Sure.
You go.
Yeah. Yeah. And then of course over on the Rolling Nomads, I've been working on a project with some of the great and wonderful people that you see here. Constructing sort of the beginnings of my own storytelling universe in my first foray into 5th edition as a storyteller. We're gonna be leaning over into Charleston, West Virginia for a story that we are calling The Blood of the Covenant. This is going to be a very street level, very kind of compressed story of Vampire the Masquerade in a Appalachian personal horror with very heavy religious overtones, and I'm so excited to put this to screen. I grew up with a lot of family members from Appalachia, and I wanted to do an Appalachian vampire story justice. And I don't want to gas myself up too much here, but I have a wonderful cast lined up. We have Az, Huddy, Ramos, Luna, Syrinx, some amazing guests. We're looking at Abby. We're looking at you, Vin. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to tell an Appalachian horror story that is also personal horror themed and encoded in the Vampire the Masquerade universe. I couldn't be more ecstatic about it.
I'm
And-
very excited. And
And
because
that's where my ministry character is
I was gonna
going
say,
to be. Where I keep
Yeah.
teasing a ministry character
it's
that I
gonna be
have.
Huddy's
It's gonna
P5.
that's me. That's my first. This will be my first time playing in a Vampire 5th Edition Chronicle.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
And
Yeah.
definitely keep tuned to our socials because we are going to drop a trailer this week. I'll just say it. We're gonna drop a trailer this week. It's gonna be neat, and I think you're gonna like it. So,
Tomorrow.
and obviously what I think matters. No, I'm just kidding.
For those of you watching live, to be less mysterious about it, tomorrow, for those of you watching live, November 25th, after our aired episode of Bane and Blood, the trailer will be seen for one of these projects for of Blood of the Covenant.
And tomorrow will be our last episode of Werewolf until we finish our Berlin Bloodline special episodes.
There are 3.
So there are 3 of them. I'm so excited for you guys to see what's become
Little
of our
chicken.
lovely vampires.
Little
It's gonna be so
chicken.
Just a
good.
little check-in.
Just
It's
a
so
little-
fine.
Everything's great, guys. Don't worry.
Curling
No
hair
one.
and kicking my feet like Kasim right now.
Funny you should mention him. So with that, was there any other questions anybody had from either the chat or the cast and crew?
I had one, but it's not like super vital or anything. It's just a fun one, and
Okay.
it was like, who is your because we talked about who's Huddy's favorite NPC to play. Who is everybody's favorite NPC in general? And I just want to say mine is Akua. I love Akua so much. I think Akua is very fun.
Akua.
Yeah.
Akua for Berlin Bloodlines. Oh man. I like Sahira.
Wow, I wasn't expecting you to say that.
Just
By the way, if I
because
ever
find it
bring in someone
funny.
to play, I was gonna say, if I ever bring someone to play Akua, it would be Vin.
Yes.
That's the only
Yes.
person I can think
Yes.
of to play Akua.
I would love to see Vin as Akua.
Oh, man, I'm
Yeah.
so excited for oh man, that would be great. Anyway,
You know,
That's
'cause
a
it's the
spoiler.
locks, because I've talked about Akua's locks so much. I
Mhm.
feel like there's no one else to do it but Vin.
yes. And then
I listen. He's a bastard man, but he's my bastard man, Osric Dunsern. I will die wanting to kiss that motherfucker IRL. I don't care how bad he is. He's broken, and I love him. And I would do unspeakable things to him if he were a real person.
I will never forget your opening line. One of your opening lines with him was just being like, "Are you still hung like a horse?"
Yes.
No, that was
Fucking
me.
Violette
wasn't you?
Fisher.
That was me playing Violette Fisher, and you said Osric Dunsern sends his regards, something to that effect, and I said, "Oh, is he still hung like a horse?"
Oh, huh.
Because
Because when you said
she's
that
a-
in episode
sh-
1.
Nope, that was prologue 1.
she's
Oh.
something.
She's a cunt.
Honestly, I've never seen Huddy serve so much cunt in such a concentrated fashion.
Oh my god, she's mean and horrible, and Huddy plays her so well. That can't possibly have any correlation.
Wild.
I would-
Absolutely wild.
What about Bane and Blood?
Oh god. I can't say because he hasn't been on screen yet.
I'm gonna say it. I all the wrong decisions with this character, all like in terms of what they did and stuff, but like everything that kind of like accumulated at the end too. I love Tiara so fucking much. I love Tiara.
I need everyone to say her
Tiara.
name correctly. Tiara.
I need to make this real. Timber says it wrong on purpose.
Yes. No, it's funny. I kept
It's a
myself
brain
saying
thing.
saying it wrong too, because it sounds like the word tiara, but it's tiara like earth, like
Yeah.
Angleterre, earth.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Timber says
Tiara's
tiara because she makes Old Wolf sad.
My dog is desperately trying to crawl into my lap. He's like,
Aw.
it's
He's
bedtime.
just a baby.
We
Yeah,
sleeping
I love
here.
Tiara a lot.
Yeah.
Tiara.
Yeah, Tiara. Think
Yep.
Tierra. Tiara. Tiara's great.
Yep, definitely Tiara for Bane and Blood. For Berlin Bloodlines, I'm gonna out myself and my mommy issues just a
Ah,
little
there you
bit.
go.
That'd be Hannah Laurie.
Mhm.
Hannelore is such a great choice.
I like how I dropped trying to say her name in German when everyone's just started calling her Hannelore, and I just went with it. I was like, that's
Yeah,
too much
appreciate
effort.
you.
Because how you say, even though it ends with an E, how you'd say her name in German be Hannelore. And I just gave up.
Hannelore?
Yeah.
Hannelore.
E is an A
Okay.
sound. It's an
Hannelore.
sound. I love Finley. That is who taught Timber most of what she knew before Sweets went, we gotta stop that over there.
Yeah.
Um,
Your first night as a human being, he's like, well, we have to go get her a beer.
we're gonna go get her a beer. She's just she's the same age as the twins. I need that. Like
Mhm.
yeah. So I'm just gonna need that as a
My
a
puppy.
frame of reference. And then I love Heidi, Adelaide's bestie. I fucking love Heidi.
Yep. She was
One
great
of-
to the ghouls. She was super nice to the ghouls.
Oh yeah, she did. We
That's
had a great.
Nosferatu in Berlin.
We had drinks about it, not literally, but yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Ramos?
I love Akua. But if I had to go against the grain, I fucking love Ilse Asher. She is not to be fucked with. I love the flavor that Huddy puts on like the lore of like the Giovanni and like the clans of death, like that like feel in their bones that they need to pay homage and pay respect. She is a woman that like commands respect and presence, and no one questioned her when she took the head of the family. Just a lot to explore with her that like Tulio would not sit down and have a conversation with her one-on-one because she's terrifying. But we love to see a powerful woman, and there's like she's fucking peak. Yeah,
I do that. I put a lot of powerful women in my games.
As somebody who,
I
who
love to
got
see it.
as somebody who got to roleplay talking to Ilse, technically one-on-one, that was probably one of the most intimidating conversations I ever had.
She is the most like, and the way you've described her as like this like, yeah, no, everything about her. So Akua and Ilse in Berlin, and then as because I also love Bane, Ibru of Bane and Blood. Just the small interactions that have already happened. She's a fucking nightmare, and I love to hate her. So whenever Huddy was like,
again, Huddy playing someone effectively mean.
whenever Huddy was like, "What if you were married to Ibru?" and I was like, "I'll take it in war. Wound me,
Please,
cut
sir,
me
can
to
I
the
have
core."
one more?
Yes.
Here is the knife. Do it.
I love Ibru. I love the horror that she represents, and she seems so fucking unstoppable that it's just like
A mage unstoppable?
yeah. No,
crazy.
there's a profound like hatred, but we can't fucking do anything about it. Really, not yet, at least. Maybe there's a path, but we certainly haven't fucking found it. I love her. I love to hate her, and I hope she dies.
Hey, we're totally gonna get her, right? There's 100%.
Perfect.
Also,
I can don't say that. Don't say
Shining
that I can
on-
be mean to you anytime. Don't say that.
alluding to like some of the conversation, like because I sent backstory over to Huddy, and like we talked about like who Ebru was to Elias and like their interactions, what their story is. We haven't dug really deep into that yet, but that is constantly in my head every time her name is brought up, and so like I really have to like tap into like how Elias would feel about that whole interaction and like their sort of like quote unquote secret lore that they have. So that's why Elias has a lot of hatred for
It's
this
coming
woman.
in season 2.
It's so
I
fucked.
promise.
It's
I
so
have so
fucked.
much. I have had no time.
I
promise.
cannot wait. It's going to be amazing.
Shit
We're gonna have a
is
great
so
time.
fucked. Y'all are gonna see.
It's awful, but we're gonna get to that in season 2, and then everyone can see, and everyone can hate her and love her with the rest of
Equally.
us. Hate her, love her, want to be her. But that is all we have for today. So thank you so much for joining us.
Wanna be her.
It's true. thank you for coming to our first Fireside Chat. Thank you for everybody who came in, even if you stopped by for just a little bit. Make sure you check out our YouTube, our Twitch schedule for catching up on the shows we just talked about and others. We all have an open Discord. The link should be in there
Somewhere.
It should pop up when someone puts it in there. I'll make sure that happens. But other than that, that's us in a handbasket. We haven't had the chance to say that in a while.
Not in a while.
Thank you all so much, and
Yeah,
we
thank
will catch
you.
you later.
Bye.
Someone in the stream. Bye.